Here's Bogovats. He's free. It's good! 6 triples for Bogovats. He has taken over. And there with Dixon, Bessard, Stevenson, and the senior set triple. Dixon with a 3. Got it! That's kind of out by Handlock, and he shakes his head no. Johnson lost it, hooked out of his hands, and Kansas gets the triple. Here's Peterson on the run, makes shot, and the hammer to Rosario.
Here's Lawrence into the front court, guarded by Dent. Transfer from New Mexico. Right arm pass to Hoiberg. Back to Lawrence on the hash mark. High post, Butenzel drives it. Left-handed layup, good. Verte against his former teammates. Ball tapped into the hands. Butenzel the Mast. Right side, Price. Sanford yet to shoot, puts it on the floor. Kicks it out. Hoiberg steps into a 3. He's got it. Sammy, my boy.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by NextGen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, DB?
What is going on?
Oh, not too much. How we doing this morning?
We're good.
Yeah,
We're good. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Hanging in there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe.
I mean, maybe.
It could always be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could.
So,
well,
I don't know.
We both made it in today. That's
some Nebraska fans online would have you to think differently.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't like a super fun go around.
Bunch of sour pussies. Jeez. Now the sky's back to falling.
Well, it always was. We just had an umbrella for a minute.
And it's alleged basketball fans. Like, chill out.
So, I mean, you asked, I think, a couple months ago how long we would allow ourselves to, be dreamers and optimistic, and like that has expired.
Yeah,
clearly.
Even when they were winning, because then I heard the whole, they peaked and, what's wrong. And I mean, meanwhile, they were still winning. You just were getting off the sluggish starts against Northwestern.
Yeah. Well, and the sluggish start did not help last night or this morning, I guess.
It's amazing how, like, out of the gates, it's like sleepy.
Yeah, I mean, they should probably try and figure that out at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if they want to, but if they're playing a 14 seed off the bat, they'll probably be okay, probably be able to survive it.
Are you sure?
Probably.
Okay. All right, listen, man, I just asked a question.
I don't think there's any 14 seeds I'm like overly afraid of.
Never know.
We're talking the Hawaii, North Dakota State, Troy Navies of the world. I think if they can't navigate that through a slow start, then
look out, Navy.
Then we got some problems.
Look out, Navy.
Now we've pretty well established that second round is going to be a bear no matter where they end up in the seed line. Yeah. So, I'm not even going to pretend like that's a foregone conclusion. They probably need to figure out a way to start a little better. Now, maybe it's a body clock thing that looked like they were not super comfortable last night, starting at 10 p.m. local time.
Yeah, it was late. It came out sleepy.
I mean,
a little tired. It was a 24-point half, but then you turn around and what's the math? Put together a 28-point half. I don't know. I mean, whether it was 17, I think second chance points.
I mean, the early turnovers.
Yeah, just handing the live
and not
ball,
just like
the live
dribble.
Balls. Yeah, and it was funny too because I had just watched North Carolina and Clemson, where I felt like you get a ball and you get a ball and you get a ball.
Maybe it was in the water last night because BYU was just dribbling it all over the place.
So stranger team on the planet than BYU?
No. I mean, not at all. Their highs to lows.
For what their ceiling is, their variance is incredible because they can look like grade A dog manure.
Like, they didn't look like a tournament team yesterday.
It's bad.
Like, it was pretty rough.
And Cincinnati raised some eyebrows, but, you can't fault, rebounding because they were right there.
Mm-hmm.
You were -2 on the glass. You were even on offensive rebounds. You gave it away a ton. But I mean, what the world?
I mean, what did they start 2 for 19 from 3?
Yeah, that dog will not hunt. And finished. They shot 20% from 3.
Yeah, they finished 3 for 5.
That's the thing that just bugs me is you just don't get enough easy baskets. I mean, they didn't score for the last 4 minutes and some change.
Yeah. And that was after only getting 2 points in the first 5 minutes and some change, which is
I told you that's like they go
second game in a row that had happened.
They go through these droughts where they just don't score the basketball. So, I mean, you're back to the drawing board. It's for a team that's 14-5 in the league. This is about as must win as it gets.
Yeah, against Iowa.
You want to sit atop that bye and go in at least with some feel good mojo.
Yeah, even if
Iowa can always be good get right juice.
Always. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. They got the tough version of Frager last night.
Oof.
Which that is, I don't know if it's the greatest variable, but it's up there for them. Like good Frager versus bad Frager seems to be a little bit of a bellwether on how this team's going to go. And they did not get good Frager last night.
Yeah, and he logged the 22 minutes, a couple of turnovers, but he's just got to figure out a way to impact the game when he doesn't see the ball go through the net.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a decision-making factor there too with him a little bit.
Yeah. Just kind of forcing the issue, trying to get it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think
that's fair.
I think when you but I think it goes into what you said. When you understand that you can impact the game in other ways, you're less likely to force the shot selection.
He showed you a couple games ago, even without scoring it, he can rebound, he can distribute. That, and I didn't like early. I think I was a little nitpicky in the chat. It was a bad omen, and maybe it was the body. I'm just not going to make excuses. Because far be it from me, we got our ass kicked late at night too on the West Coast, so maybe it was our body clock too. Man, she stomped a mud hole in us, but it's just a bad omen when those balls are in the air. Now, hear my heart, because they rebounded the basketball fairly well, but there were those 50-50 kind of, and it happened early because I think Freeney got a putback on a ball that I felt like Nebraska should have rebounded. Like you get your hands on it, and UCLA is kind of like fighting for it, and it ends up in their hands. It happened about 4 trips after that down the court where balls carrying off the rim. There's like a scramble for it, and UCLA flicks it out. It starts a run out. There was the one that Mast had in the first half, and it got ripped out. Like those little things right there, it just adds up when you're struggling on the road.
And that goes down as a regular rebound, right?
Road again.
Like
you want it to be a turnover? It's not a turnover.
No, it's not a turnover. And there's no way to quantify it in a good way. But if you're watching the game, you can look at it and go, "Oh, that matters. That's a problem." Right? Like it just in the box score, it's like, okay, they only got out rebounded by 2, but
I was gonna count them, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, it's like it's anecdotal.
This is getting petty,
But it did seem an unreasonable amount of rebounds where Nebraska seemingly got both hands on it. Like I understand a tip, right? Like you get a tip here and there, you can't quite get a hold of it. But it seemed like there was a lot of rebounds where Nebraska got both hands on the ball and UCLA just took it from them. And that to me, just from a emotional standpoint, especially when you're not shooting the ball well, like I feel like that can kind of snowball on you a little bit where it goes from you're not shooting the ball well to, oh, I can't catch a break to, like it can kind of get on top of you a little bit. And for a team that, is not, I'm not impressed with offensively in UCLA, I didn't think Nebraska's defense looked very good.
It just wasn't crisp.
They were allowed too much. They got compromised too much by guys that probably shouldn't be able to. I mean, Dent's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I
like Dent, and I get UCLA fans would tell. I guarantee you they'd say they'd be like, DB, man, this isn't the Dent we thought we were getting, but he's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and he's had a pretty good year. I mean, he's averaging 14-8 almost. Like that's a good year from a point guard, especially in his first year in power conference basketball. I think the shooting is probably what they would go to and be like, I get he's not going to take a ton, but going from 40 on 2 attempts a game to 20% on 2 attempts a game, like that's going to change your dynamic in terms of how you guard a guy. But they allowed way too many guys outside of Dent to compromise. Everybody talks about the famous no middle defense. There was a lot of guys in the middle of that defense last night.
Yeah, I mean, you just allowed Perry to get comfortable too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's streaky. He's really streaky. And Funny thing is it like followed the theme of the night last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of bad basketball.
A lot of weird basketball last night. I mean, Kansas, I think the only team that got off to a worse start in that game than Nebraska was Kansas.
Called that one.
Yeah. You called, you said the line was funny on that one.
I almost had Vandy and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think Vandy gets the 3-point win. How that line was only 6. I get it. You'd say, oh, give me the free money. I'm like,
not on that one.
That line.
Vandy hasn't been playing well. That's not free money on
that.
Vandy.
That was Ricola. And the other one was Bama stubbed their toe at Georgia.
I was going to say Bama,
that
Georgia.
line was 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean,
they lost by 10. It's stanky.
Yeah.
10, 11, 12.
How about, we didn't get into this in the group because it happened fast, but how about like Georgetown and has St. John's just slopping their way through?
Dude, St. John's is one of the, like, I don't know what to do with them at all. Like their variance on, like, you talk about the variance of BYU, the variance of St. John's on a night-to-night basis on what they're going to give you. Like, I don't feel good at all about being able to predict what happens to them on any given night. They are super streaky. I mean, even in that game, right? 26-point half, 46-point half. Like, what? I don't know what to do with St. John's.
Yeah.
I don't trust them at all. They go through stretches now that they didn't seem to before, where they look a lot like offensively like they did in bad stretches last year. I don't know what to do with St. John's, but that's a game that if Georgetown is any better than they are, then St. John's absolutely loses that game. I mean, and your Tar Heels struggled for quite a bit last night too.
Yeah, you know what that line was?
No, I don't. Off
3.
top.
3.
Yeah, so that's right on.
Maybe it's a 3 or 4.
You know, North Carolina without just surviving the way they have without Caleb Wilson is huge.
Pretty impressive to stay, but it is pretty drastic how important he is to them.
Yeah. Because you didn't get really good play from Trimble last night, and they had to find a way. Dixon finally hits a big 3, he had been super icy.
Are you a big Vassar guy?
So there's what is it about Vassar that you think would drive me crazy?
It's hard to pick. If I had to guess about Vassar, I don't know. He seems super soft to me.
Yep. Very if then.
Yeah. Like just kind of like, I'm not always gonna play hard.
And the weird thing is he's super capable.
Yeah, really. Like there's
and
games.
even with all the doubles, and as a tandem, I think they lead the country as bigs when Caleb Wilson is playing. He still is. He's a guy that can frustrate you.
He is a guy where
he's highly skilled.
There's been games earlier this year when Caleb Wilson was still on the floor where Vassar still just looked like the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
And then there's games where you forget that he's on the floor at all.
That's part of the problem. He's had scoreless first halves or score. He can lay an egg in a half.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, and then you look at, again, if you watched any of BYU, best wishes, like capping those guys for the tournament.
I
mean, they're trending their way towards being like an 8.
Yeah, they're in trouble. But how?
Because right now, do you think they're on what, the 7 line?
I believe they were 6. They're currently on bracket matrix, the last 6 seed, but that is as of yesterday. So they're probably a 7 after last night.
Yeah, and moving in the wrong direction.
And trending. Can you imagine though? Like
you gave up 47.5. Well, it's not better than the first half because I think it's 47 minus 90. 43. How about that math? Let's go.
There you go. Quick math.
Let's go. I mean, that's Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati's not good.
Yeah, what are you doing?
How about that reward though? If you're a 1 seed,
getting them in the second round.
That's what I'm. You know what I mean? That's such a coin flip of what version you're gonna get, and you're like, well, I could get the version that we saw last night against Cincinnati, and then I win that game by 20, or I could get the version where AJ DeBonsa looks like a number 1 overall draft pick, and I lose in the second round to an 8 seed.
Yeah, and you get some shaky basketball tonight. I guess Texas and Arkansas is interesting. I think Miami is on the road at SMU. I mean, they're playing for seeds.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about Quetty and Providence. Probably nothing, considering Marquette's year.
No.
Well,
and then Creighton wraps up tonight. They
got the Bulldogs.
Their regular season tonight.
Nova's on the road.
Yeah, at
the Demons.
That one's that was a relatively small number as well, 3.5.
What do you do with Purdue Northwestern? Northwestern got some upset fight in them. Wouldn't that be something? I'm not going to kid you. I'm kind of cheering for it.
I mean,
I'm all the way out on Purdue.
You're actively rooting against them?
Yep.
Why?
Because they get the benefit of the doubt for some reason, and it's just weird because this is just kind of who they are.
Yeah. I don't like how high the metrics still are.
It's just like who they are. I don't, that's one of those things, and I didn't mean to poke at Jacob when I said it, but it was aggravating me how we went right to analytics, and I'm like, sometimes you just got to watch.
Yeah.
Like, they're just okay.
Yeah, like if you're, and listen, I like Ken Palm as much as anybody.
Oh, Kenneth Pomeroy.
If you look at Ken Palm and you're like, oh, Purdue is in the same neighborhood in terms of quality as Houston, UConn, and Iowa State, you would be very misled.
That's weird.
Like, you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
Same thing. I would argue the same thing with Michigan State, although they've played better as of late than Purdue.
Did you catch how sluggish UVA was? That's another team where you look at the metrics, and even now I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a big, especially this year, with who's at the top. I'm less enamored with who's taking and making threes versus who has interior flexibility and toughness.
Yeah.
Because the teams at the top, that's what separates them. That's why I'm always going to give Gonzaga a puncher's chance. That front court that they can throw at you with their athleticism and their ability to defend, I'm willing to maybe overlook a little bit of guard play.
Yeah.
Because
if you can survive it in a year, it's this year.
It's this year, right? Because who were the elite level backcourts in the upper echelon?
I mean, it's just Arizona.
And I don't know if they're elite. They're good.
I mean,
I'm a Burries guy.
With both of the guys, they probably are.
We don't talk about them like they're elite. So if you'd be the first.
With both of the guys, they probably are elite backcourt.
Well, I would be the last guy you have to convince.
No, I know.
But with national media, I don't think.
Oh, they don't get the run like that.
Michigan doesn't get that label. The Blue Devils don't get that label.
Nor should they, I don't think.
Florida doesn't get that label.
Illinois probably does.
They're not in the elite category, though.
They're probably
with Wagler and Boswell.
They're probably and I'm not a huge Boswell guy, but they're probably the next team that you're like, oh, both guards very good.
You know who of the big body, squatty bodies? You know who's quietly shooting the heck out of the ball?
Who's that?
Thornton.
Oh yeah, you brought him up yesterday.
I think the doozy. I bet you. He's in the 40s from three, which is I bet.
Is he?
Man, it seems like it. I could be wrong. Go ahead, pull him up.
All right, we'll see if we can find it.
Pull him up. He seems like every night he shoots like 41% from three.
You know who did not shoot 41% from three last night?
Who's that?
You know where I'm going to go with this.
Who? Oh yeah, Darren.
My guy DP.
Boy, sometimes he just. So it's not.
Credit work.
What's Boswell? Or not Boswell? What's Thornton?
38.
Okay.
So I'll give credit where credit's due before I kill him. This is the second game in a row he's had multiple assists, which hadn't happened since early January.
So you know what I think?
It's the first time all year he's had multiple games in a row.
What part of I think he's a victim of? The game looks like it comes so easy for him. So I think you want him to look like he's exerting a ton of energy, and I just don't know if he's ever going to be that guy.
I want him to not go 3 of 18. It's not
the foul.
It's not an energy thing.
He settles quite a bit.
I brought this up a week ago. When he plays more than 25 minutes, his shooting percentages plummet.
Yeah.
He is well under 40% from the field now, and he's under 35. He was 2-11 from three last night. He is well under 35% from three and well under 40% from the field when he plays more than 25 minutes. And that sample size is getting bigger, which is good on the one hand, but weird on the other, that all of a sudden when the media thing got too big for him, all of a sudden he can play 25 minutes every night.
Yeah.
So was he injured or was he not injured?
I don't know. He told you he didn't care what you said.
That's fine. But all of a sudden, after he didn't care what everybody said, he plays 25 minutes every night. So that seems odd, doesn't it?
Yeah. You watched the game last night, right? Nebraska UCLA?
Yeah.
You want a prime example of why you don't just look at stats?
Sure.
Okay. You know how the game ended out.
Yep.
You know the score, the whole nine,
Yep.
stylistically. Of these statistics, which one, if any, do you think lends itself to what you saw last night?
Okay.
UCLA, 28 of 60 from the floor. Paltry, 34%.
28 of 6. No, that's 47.
47%, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to get to 3 points.
Yeah.
10 of 29.
34%.
34%. They shot 60% from the free throw line. You know how many free throws they shot?
Less than 15.
Only 10.
Okay.
Do you know how many Nebraska shot?
Ooh, more than that. It was
Significantly
18?
more. 18. They only made 9 of them, though.
Yeah, they missed multiple. Both like
This is where it gets interesting, though.
didn't Jamarcus and Sam Hoiberg miss both on
Yep.
trips?
Yep.
That's rough.
How many more turnovers did Nebraska have?
Only like 4 or 5.
Does that lend itself to 20-point margin?
No.
Has there been a stat yet that you think lends itself to?
No.
Points off turnovers.
I think it was close. I'm gonna say it was within 4 points either way.
UCLA +2. UCLA 10 points off turnovers. Rebounds.
I know that was within 2.
UCLA +2. Offensive rebounds.
Within a couple, I think.
Tied. Bench points.
Ooh, I don't have a good. So Frager didn't score much. They did get they got like a 10 out of Kale Jacobson.
11, yeah.
So it's probably pretty close.
Very close. +2 UCLA. How about fast break points?
I would, if I had to guess, because of some of the open court turnovers, especially early, I'd say that was probably the biggest one in favor of UCLA. Nope.
Tied. 5 apiece.
That's the one that surprises me the most.
So bench points was, what do you think?
You said it was within 2?
Nope. I didn't say yet.
Oh, okay. So Jacobson had 11. Frager had a handful. I think he only made.
Frager had 2.
I'm gonna say
Garcia had 2. I'm just helping you with the math.
I forgot Garcia scored it all. 15.
You're my boy Blue, goose egg.
So I'm gonna
Leo, goose egg.
say 19-15 UCLA.
17-7. Is that the one stat where you're thinking, or is it the fact that they made 9 more field goals? Like what in the statistical category led you to believe that game was as lopsided as it was?
The only thing that, when looking at the box score, the only thing that stands out is shooting percentages.
Does it seem like UCLA got 11 more shots off?
It sort of did.
I gave you second chance points.
So it sort of
I
did
gave
in
you
the
offensive
sense
rebounds.
that I felt there's a couple things that I think were misleading in terms of what we watch versus what the numbers say.
Okay.
Number one,
I'm here for that.
Felt like the turnovers were a bigger problem for Nebraska than the final stats.
Of just the 13?
Yes.
Especially the points off of turnovers.
Because it was, especially early.
It was even.
Especially early, it felt like, hey, they're getting killed on turnovers, right?
Do you know what it is, in my opinion?
What's
no,
that?
wait. I'm listening. I want to
so
hear
that
your
was
theory.
that was the one. That was one where it seemed like the stats are not as skewed as it felt watching. The other one, because of what we talked about earlier with Nebraska losing a lot of those 50-50 balls on rebounds, it felt like the rebounds were more skewed towards UCLA than they actually were. So I think in those sense, I would have thought, yeah, UCLA probably had a significantly higher number of field goal attempts. But when you actually look at the stats, you're like, oh, they only were down 5 on turnovers. They were even or close to even on offensive rebounds. then you all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, how did they get the 11 more attempts?
Yeah.
That's where it starts to get weird, is what I saw kind of would indicate itself to UCLA having more attempts, but what the box score actually indicates to me wouldn't.
Okay, points off turnovers are even, right? 5 more turnovers. We said that when we talk about Nebraska, we said, hey, it's limiting the rebounds, the rebound discrepancy, and kind of live ball turnovers. You have to take better care of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I say about Nebraska offensively that I think that bugs me about them?
They don't get enough easy shots.
They don't get enough easy shots.
Yep.
So Nebraska shoots 5 of 24 from 3.
That's the number that most feels like it would be a 20-point game.
So if I said to you, Nebraska can't win unless they have some sort of efficiency from behind the arc, does that sound right?
Yes. Yeah.
It does? It does not to me. Now, maybe they can't go 5 of 24, but how prolific do they need to be?
So
is it the misses versus the volume of attempts?
I think it's the number of makes.
Because they've shot it poor before.
Yeah, but 5 is the problem there. Obviously, 21% is an issue, but they've had games like they can survive in the 30s, like even low 30s, but you have to be, I think, pretty close to double digits.
So if I said to you, Ravi, Nebraska, in order to beat good basketball teams, has to make threes, you're going to be like, yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because they don't get enough other easy shots.
Even though they went to the line. See, the weird thing is they had 18 free throw attempts.
Yeah.
Like that dog will hunt. I'll take that.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're going to launch 24 threes.
Absolutely. I will
Getting to the line 18 times is legit.
Yeah, I will take that. But like this team can survive going 10 of 29. Like if they shot what UCLA did last night, I'm like, yeah, they can win a game shooting like that.
Well, that's another 15 points.
It is. But that's also not a crazy shooting night. 10 of 29, 34% is like a pretty average shooting night.
I hear you.
5 of 24 just will, like, the other problem is
my point to illustrate some of this is you have to actually watch how it transpires.
Yeah. And you have to like pay attention too. Like having it on at midnight and just scrolling through your phone isn't probably
because you look and you're like, well, how did this happen? And I get it. You could drum it down to 5 of 24 and 19 of 49.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm talking about Nebraska, and the way that they play basketball defensively, I was concerned about that UCLA shot 47%.
Yeah,
so that's the one I thought you may.
So that's what I said early. Was like I didn't like how they played defense for a team that
in the very, very open. Yeah. You did say that.
I don't like how Mick Cronin has never coached a good offensive team in his life. He had 1 year where he had like 3 good offensive players that bailed him out of everything when they made the Final Four run with Tyga Campbell and Jacques and Juzang.
Yeah.
But
Johnny Juzang, boy, how about that heater he went on in the tournament?
Unbelievable, right? Yeah. Like he just made every mid-range shot.
Jaquez is at least legit.
Yeah, but Juzang made every mid-range contested jump shot for a month. Like it was.
No, you're exactly right.
It was unbelievable. But
I coached that.
The thing that bothered me the most about this was I thought Nebraska's defense got compromised a lot against a team that is not very good offensively, doesn't run great offensive stuff. And outside of, like, we talked about this with UCLA. If you're a dribble team, like a heavy dribble isolation team, you should struggle against Nebraska. And we saw USC struggle against Nebraska because of that.
So maybe you need to be talking about how that defense needs to be more portable.
Sure.
Because I think the 47% is, I don't know.
Against UCLA, that number needs to be 42 or less. Like they need to be in the low 40s or less from the field.
Because you'll take the shooting percentage you'll take from 3. It's just that they made 10. Because they're a +5 in threes already.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'll take them going, and honestly, I'll kind of take them settling for half of their shots from 3. Like, I don't have a problem with that. The problem becomes, how did those 3-pointers come? I thought the defense got compromised too much, so the threes were open. Most of the time when a team settles for 30 threes against Nebraska, it looks like when Creighton does it, and they're just passing the ball around the perimeter and just chucking it up, right? And just getting those out-of-system, non-rhythm threes. The problem last night was Nebraska was allowing them to get rhythm threes off of penetration. The defense got
and
compromised.
they dodged a few bullets early when UCLA was getting like the real good looks.
Yes. They missed some
And
that could have
those
made this
corner threes were
ugly in a hurry. Honestly, the corner threes versus the above the break 3 attempts, I don't have the numbers on it, but I would guess if you're Nebraska and you can get the above the break 3-point attempts versus the corner threes, because generally speaking, you're not taking corner threes off of stagnant motion, right? You're taking taking corner threes above. You're taking bad threes above the break.
That's a solid basketball take.
Corner threes are generally off penetration, off good ball movement, off skips,
or a scramble.
Yes, a broken court thing where you're going to be open.
Yep.
Right. Generally speaking, you're not taking contested, stagnant corner threes.
Yeah.
So when guys are getting open corner threes, we have a problem officially.
I'll take that.
And so that's a big problem for me. Here's the problem with Nebraska shooting, from my point, is if they're not making enough of them, then I don't think you can open up anything else. Like, they're not, for whatever reason, they're not playing in a way like they did earlier in the season. And you can go chicken or an egg here thing with me and I'll buy it. But they're not playing in a way early in the season where they're cutting effectively, where they're screening effectively, and where they're passing effectively enough to get their offense through that. So at this point, you have to get the defense to get out on you by making threes first, and then some of that stuff might open up.
Did you think I was being too hard on Mast in the chat?
No, I don't think he's playing very well. I don't think he's played very well for a while.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. There's something with the energy level.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Where I just want, so this is really childish, but because we always bring him up as kind of like the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of those where I just want Sasha to have to get up and adjust the camera. Yes. I hadn't seen you all morning.
She was in here like 2 minutes ago adjusting the camera.
Fine.
Dude, I'm wild.
Well,
so I rewound it a couple of times.
Okay.
And I just look at mannerisms after he almost makes a play.
Oh, interesting.
It's
okay.
Man, I feel like I'm picking. It's just okay.
No, I can't.
Like, there's no dang it or it's just like, you know, and I'm just like, and I know Coach Hoiberg sat him a couple of games ago late, and he said it was dictated by matchups, but I don't know. You just give me a little more like, do you not feel well? Are you sapped? Is there something going on that we don't? Because
it almost feels
we have gone from.
Yeah,
I'm the same guy. Three months ago, I was like, okay, guys, listen. We knew he was good.
We didn't know he was this.
Did you guys, be honest, who of you guys, I asked everybody that we talked to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm like, was he that good? Like,
yes.
Clearly he had been in the lab in the offseason.
For sure.
Is this just fatigue? Is this what playing heavy minutes so early in the season got? Is this the inability to get back to the fitness level that you were pre-getting sick? He clearly, from an energy output standpoint, like, seems different. So I'm just watching him get up and down the court. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's fatigue, right? So you took a whole year off, so you think you may have fresh legs, but I don't know.
Well, being in good shape and having the condition to play 35 games is different.
Right. Yeah.
So like 100%. He could have put his body in a position to be successful, but if your body's not used to playing 35 basketball games, like, that's a thing too.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the interesting, like, when you're describing his body language to me, it kind of just clicked. It feels like he's hoping things will go right.
Oh, maybe lost a little confidence?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is, I'm not gonna
hate on you for nitpicking here, because it's the same thing I've been doing with Frager, right? Like, when he dribbles into traffic, turns the ball over, or his decision making, or what he looks like defensively when he's not making shots, or what he looks like trying to rebound the ball when he's not making good decisions on offense. Like, so I'm doing the same thing with Frager, so it's only fair to apply that logic to other people. The interesting thing to me with Mast is it's different
He just looks tired.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a fatigue thing. I don't know if whatever illness he has lingered. I
think I might have intimated disinterest, but that's how it comes off.
Sure. If you're tired, sometimes it can look as lazy or disinterested.
But I'm like, man, just squeeze that thing or fight him for it. And maybe just, I don't know. But
maybe
again,
just doesn't have it in
when
him
you
to do it.
when you don't come back home,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's sweeping West Coast roadies?
Basically no one.
No one.
It's happened twice, I think, since they joined the league.
So
both of them were last year, I believe.
It's like, I mean, maybe that's a thing.
So he started the year. I'm going to take out Maryland Eastern Shore because he barely played in that one. 10, 18, 26, 17, 20, 31, 15, 20, 17, 17.
That's not a ton.
No, but he
minutes?
No, that's points.
Oh, you're talking about before. Yeah.
So I took out Maryland Eastern Shore because they killed him and he barely.
But I tried to, like I told you guys, it wasn't about the statistical output,
right?
From a point standpoint, because and I gave you the in-conference numbers.
So in those same games,
I gave you in-conference numbers and shooting percentage.
He's got a 10 assist game in that one, 3, 3, 4, 3. He's got 10 rebound game, 5, 6, 5, 12, 11, 9, 7, 7. And then he doesn't have a double-digit rebound game since Wisconsin. He doesn't have,
and there was a lot of last night. I don't know where his friends were. Like, how many times did you see Mast kind of like?
Yeah, you got one guy fighting for the ball.
Tapping.
Yeah,
and it's almost like it's to himself. And then UCLA would have two guys that would come grab the basketball.
Which, that's a Mick Cronin thing. For whatever his faults are, guys swarm to rebounds. And
I couldn't get anybody else in the picture other than Mast. I'm like, where is everyone else?
Yeah.
I'll give you another sneaky problem too. I don't know if it's sneaky. Hoops heads know. Depending on how many guys you send to the glass, your guard's got to rebound better.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Especially
when you're not.
That's a problem.
Especially when you're not overly gifted rebounders in the front court.
But rebounds last night weren't.
They weren't
such a discrepancy.
No, they weren't a huge problem.
But somehow UCLA had 10 more second chance points. When you make 5 more threes and you have, you're 17-7 in second chance points, what is that?
So there is a thing, and I only know this because I did a little bit of a deep dive on it a handful of years ago, because Creighton was terrible at rebounding. People were getting offensive rebounds on them all the time, but their second chance defense was incredible. I can't remember which team this was. I want to say it was 21, maybe.
The ability to kind of recalibrate and reset.
Just immediately. And it was a Kalkbrenner thing, right? Because you got the rebound and he was still right there. And so it was can't really just go back up with it easily. But there is a thing when there are teams that are much better at second opportunity defense than others. And there are teams, and Nebraska is one of them, and it's because you look at their front. I think you look at their front court and you go, okay, Mast is not a rim protector. Buchtengel is not a rim protector. You don't have immediate defense when they get a rebound, right? Teams that have immediate defense available of the guys that are fighting for the rebound tend to not give up as many second chance points. When Nebraska gives up offensive rebounds, they get scored on.
Yeah, maybe I have to chart, Berke and anybody not named Mast and Hoiberg rebounding the basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, Hoiberg is clearly one of the best rebounding guards in the Big Ten, if not the country.
He's maybe, I think there was a stat last night. He's the only guy under 6 feet tall that averages 5 rebounds a game. Huh. He's the only guy honestly on Nebraska's team that I trust.
I wonder. So you know what I would ask him?
What's that?
Just off to the side. I'd be like, hey man, come here. I'd be like, hey,
what do we got?
Last night you were barking quite a bit. What were you saying? And who were you talking to?
Yeah.
Do you think he'd answer me? That's how I talk to him. I do just like that.
I think he would answer you. I don't know if you get the answer you want.
Didn't he seem kind of chatty? He was not happy last night with some of the fellas.
You know what? I obviously have no.
Was that a disarming delivery? Or was that?
No, it was good.
Okay,
because you can kind of be like, hey, no, just between boys here,
Yeah, I just want to talk to you for a second.
it's very like I'm
Threatening.
interviewing you, right? Like it's very much like, hey, let's just talk like hoop heads here. I think if it were me, the thing I would have been saying, or the thing I would have been frustrated with if I was Sam Hoiberg, I don't know exactly what he would have said. The thing I would have been frustrated with, because he seems like a guy that would not be affected by this.
And he'd shoot you straight too.
100%. Is it seems like other people on the team sometimes allow external factors
To dictate
their effort.
I got you.
Not their play,
I would probably take that.
but their effort.
I'd probably take that.
Because if there's anything that I would guess I know about Sam Hoiberg, is that nothing outside of his control has ever dictated his effort. Otherwise, he would not be in the position he's in right now. So that's to me, and I've talked about this with other things before. When you are incredibly familiar with a certain thing, you become very intolerant of people that can't do that thing. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you're really, really good, if you're just always the guy that gives effort, when other people don't give effort, it drives you crazy.
Can I get to a couple of other things about getting inside the stats? We'll take a break. Sasha gives this like, if you guys don't stop talking and take a goddamn break. No, we'll take a break. I'm big into getting easy shots.
Mm-hmm.
At first blush, who had more layups last night? UCLA or Nebraska?
Ooh. I almost want to say Nebraska. Kale had a handful. Sam had a couple.
Should you be better than 9 of 14 on layups?
Probably.
Nebraska was 9 of 14 on layups.
What was UCLA?
9 of 12. I always look at that stat with Nebraska.
I was going to say you probably want to be, if you got 14 attempts, you probably need to make 11 or 12.
Exactly.
Not that makes up 20-point difference, but,
I chip away at
little things here and there.
Chip away.
We'll take a quick break. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I think my shot was a little off tonight, but it was just trying to find other ways to impact the game, whether that's on defense, creating for my teammates, rebounds, that kind of stuff. So, it's not always going to be perfect, and I think just being able to, impact the game in a different way is just how I'll help the team. Yeah, a tremendous impact, it's hard to put into words, just every day, they show up every day, they work hard, they pour into their teammates, and they do all the little things. Those three, they're great, and we got to finish this season really great for them, and they mean a lot to this program and me too.
Yeah, obviously we need to. We still have an opportunity to miss that Wednesday play-in game. We're going to need a little help, but the help does us no good if we don't take care of our business. And obviously, Butler is physical and they really beat us up on the offensive glass the first time we played. So we'll need a better effort there. Well, their point guard's out, so they've kind of shifted, and it's a bigger, more physical lineup. And they have a lot of different guys initiating offense. But Bidjak's playing at a high level. Obviously, IG is doing a great job on the glass and around the rim. And they rotate those two bigs in that do a good job. And then they've got guys that can shoot it next to those guys. So it's their last home game, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to get their best shot.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. Appreciate all the people chiming in the chat. Got lots of Nebraska ball opinions going on in here. We got a little.
You got a fight?
No, just a lot of opinions. We got some Jared Garcia strays coming out in here. Yeah,
People love to hate on Garcia. What Garcia do to them? He was 1 of 3. Is he shooting too much?
No, they're just talking about kind of gagging the easy layup, and
Yeah, he boofed that one.
It was a little rough, but
how about Nebraska's points per possession?
Oh yeah, that's not good. That's not good. What was the number?
0.881.
Yeah, that's bad. That dog won't hunt. Kobe says Frager, when he drove, did not pass once.
Yeah, a little head down. So, I think it's intentional too. They want to push him right. If they push him right, obviously off his strong hand, his head immediately goes down.
Yeah.
He's down. Yeah. Did you? So, as the game was getting away from Nebraska, so this is still in the first half, I just did a little social experiment in my own head and watched, because I was looking for some more sets for Price.
Yeah.
Right? Just to kind of get him going, especially after he hit the 4-point play. I'm like, because when he was on the ground, he was like.
The one where he comes up from under the hoop, comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and so I just, for poops and giggles, I was just like, I just want to watch how much he runs around the court. I don't know how much actual action is called for him versus just that's how the offense works.
Yeah. I don't think they run a ton of sets for him.
Because he's constantly in motion.
Which I think typically.
And I told you guys, like his fitness.
Off the charts.
It's got to be at an elite level.
So that's the thing that, and I will.
And I mean like elite. I mean just.
I like this type of player, the type of player that Price is, the elite shooters that are able to get themselves open. I don't know how much people appreciate the fitness level of those. Like they are never not moving on offense. Yeah. They move more than whether it's, Price Sanford, whether, it's the.
Go ahead, Steph Curry.
I was going to say Clay. Because Clay didn't have the ball in his hands much, right? Like Steph has the ball in his hands quite a bit more. Steph does. I mean, everybody knows Steph, so that's fine. But like,
it's fine. It's fine.
And if you don't, you're not paying attention. That's the thing, I don't. But like those guys, even like go look at like a Korver, right? Who NBA wise might be a good comp for Price if he has the career that we hope he does in the NBA, right? Just the amount of movement that guy does with never even sniffing the basketball is unreal. So the fitness levels are off the charts. I do wish they would and when the offense is going well, that works. That's fine. He can move, he can find his spots, but I do wish they would run more things to just be like, hey, we have to get this Price going right now.
Yeah.
Especially when the offense is not clicking, which it clearly
and
wasn't.
They run so many sets.
You would think they would have a couple for like, hey, let's just get Price a shot right now. And
so do you know who turns the corner almost at will?
I have an idea. There's two guys, and I don't know if
almost at will.
Hoiberg does.
Turns the corner anytime he wants to.
You know who kind of also does?
Who?
Kale.
Yeah. So
Kale gets around his man almost every time he starts to penetrate.
Unusually, I've walked through this whole thing. So this isn't even revisionist history.
Yeah.
Go all the way back to the same move that I've talked about 15 times a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Where he ducked under the hoop and did the step back. And I was like, shoot, please, Kale, play with offensive confidence. Because he's capable.
He is.
How about him just taking guys one-on-one off the bounce and then finishing?
And he was the only guy that could get a clean look last night.
He's a winner.
And he's a winner. Here's the thing that I think he has.
I love Kale.
There's something that he has and that Sam has and Price, but Price doesn't get himself shots off the dribble a ton, even though he probably should try a little more.
Yeah, he's crafty one-on-one.
He's capable also. But what do you think those three guys have in common? Because very different players, right?
They're Anglo?
Nope.
What?
From a basketball standpoint, they never, ever, ever get sped up.
Yeah.
Their pacing and their ability to stay within themselves and not get sped up.
Yep.
And that's the thing that bothers me about Frager sometimes. Gets sped up a little bit, right? Starts to make some decisions you don't love, almost tries to predetermine things because he feels like the game's a little fast. That's why when he starts to drive a certain direction and he's not comfortable, he doesn't get the kick out pass to Price because he's already predetermined what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Right? When you're sped up, you don't get the opportunity to read what's happening in front of you because you're not comfortable. And that never happens to Kale. That never happens to Sam. That never happens to Price.
Yeah.
All three of those guys play with incredible pace.
I'm with you, KB. Like, we start knocking down some more free throws, and then you'll be more comfortable at attacking the glass. Because, when you're not making free throws, I listened to TJ Otzelberger. This is probably not quite a month ago. It's right around Valentine's Day, and he was talking about Lipsy. And I always talk about how Lipsy's a poor free throw shooter, but you want him to have the ball kind of late in game situations because he'll at least take big shots. And he said, the one thing I have to give Damon credit for is
it doesn't affect his aggressiveness.
It doesn't affect his aggressiveness.
Yeah. Which is hard.
He's right.
That's really hard.
Like
we see it happen to NBA guys all the time.
Poop, man. I ain't trying to go to the line.
We see it happen to NBA guys all the time. Guys that are bad free throw shooters, or not even bad, but like guys that are like
Lipsy's a 66% free throw shooter. Kale's worse than that.
Yeah.
But I like Jacobson though.
His honestly, like you probably need to feel more comfortable relying on him.
Kale?
Yeah. Especially when you're not getting easy offense. Because he's one of the few guys that can go out and get a shot off.
I'm telling you, my man's a winner.
Good, incredible feel for the game.
Yeah.
In like elite feel for the game.
I wonder what he whispered to Freeney too, because
hey, that's a secret.
I think he'd probably tell me, hey Kale, when you're running backwards, like, and you talk trash, you'd be like, yeah, man, how about that? Huh?
Mom, get my nuts.
Yeah.
Josh says Nebraska needs to figure out what's been going on with Lawrence. He's been bad for a month.
So Lawrence is that's a very good pull. I am very reluctant to be harsh on Jamarcus because 3 weeks ago I was like, hey, He probably needs to be more aggressive.
Mhm.
But uncharacteristically, he bounced the ball off his foot. Then he had Mast had the nice leave for him
Mm-hmm.
in the paint, and he kneed it. And I was
Yep.
like, Jamarcus, man, what is going on?
So
I don't know.
it's been about since, I'd say it's right about a month. That's probably right. Since Jamarcus was playing consistently well, which I don't know.
You know me. I
don't know if
I'm kind of a honk. I try to pay very close
and
attention to
you
my
like
guys.
Jamarcus a lot.
I do like
Yeah.
Jamarcus.
I like him too. I think they need him to be a certain level of good, in order to be the team they're capable of.
So Chucky Chuck, what happened to our cutters? Do you know what's happening? That's why I like watching off-ball stuff. Nebraska gets knocked a ton.
Yeah.
So like if you watch kind of their movement with those pin downs and those little flare screens, like, you know what teams are doing? They're collisioning cutters.
Yeah.
Like they're either kind of grabbing and trailing, or like they're not giving ground.
The problem is Nebraska hasn't countered that at all, right? In terms of their movement. Because if the defense...
So what do you want them to do? Like slip or pop?
Either. Pick one. I mean, I'd probably try and slip first because I still want to try and get to the rim.
Yeah.
And especially, like, I think that needs to come before the shooting instead of backwards. But for me, if they're like, every time the defense makes an aggressive adjustment, that means something else is open. Just it has to be. That's how defense and offense works, right? So if they're making over, like if they're clutching you through and they're cheating on what you're trying to get through screens, then you start slipping. If they're overplaying, then you have to backdoor. Like there's always the counter to whatever it is they're doing. Now, part of it is it's up here a little bit for Nebraska. Like you have to be tough. And sometimes you just have to be tough enough to run through the contact. That's part of it. Because again, if they always know you're going to slip, then they can cheat on that.
Yeah.
But part of it, I think, for Nebraska is genuinely just a toughness to say, hey, we're going to run through this. We're going to run our stuff anyway. I think.
I got thoughts.
What kind of thoughts we got?
I don't know. I feel bad. Tim, does it drive you crazy when I stand? I mean, Tim's a nice guy. He's usually giving constructive criticism.
We like Tim.
If DB's gonna stand and rock, you gotta figure out. I love when grown-ups use gotta figure out something different for the cameras. That's why Sasha's paid the big bucks. She's gonna back that thing up to the window and be like, I can get it all. You can't get out of the screen that way.
From the window to the wall.
It's hard to sit still, man.
We've got Brian Kristofferson coming up next from Husker 24/7. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
We've always tried to be a group that in the spring, gives everyone, it goes 3 deep, because I think our job is to give players reps. So I don't know that it's necessarily changed that. I mean, they could come in tomorrow and say, hey, there's a new calendar. Things change so fast. So I don't necessarily think it changes that. I think, even on the first team, I've always preferred to see, hey, send these two D tackles out first. The next period or the next practice, send these two D tackles out first. Let's get a bunch of pictures of a lot of guys, getting reps with both the ones and the twos, so. We're, like I said, we're in an evaluation phase of both of trying to teach them their technique, teach them the X's and O's on their side of the ball. At the same time, also see what they can do and tailor things to them. Jahsir Whittington, he does special things differently than maybe Riley Van Poppel does, right? So we want to play to their strengths, and we want to get a lot of guys reps. So I don't think it's necessarily changed. I think if anything, it's kind of reinforced kind of how we've always wanted to do it of getting three groups reps and giving every player reps every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what our mentality needs to be, is that we still have something to play for, and we are fighting hard to be in that NCAA tournament. Well, I think, when it boils down to it, most of those really close games that we just didn't get over the hump, came down to an offensive rebound given up here or there. Just rebounding has kind of been a little bit of a thorn in the side. And then, a day like today, it was our goal to keep them under 6 offensive rebounds. We held them to 4 and, out rebounded them by 11. And that gives us a chance. If we will guard and rebound, it gives us a chance. And I think that's kind of got to be our mentality heading into postseason play.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Kristofferson.
Yeah, you got guys and walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Kristofferson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Kristofferson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Kristofferson.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by NextGen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Brian Kristofferson from Husker 24/7. BC, what's going on, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
B Sizzle, how we doing?
I'm as good as can be, I guess.
Yeah, if you want a free meal, today's the day to get it. I got some of the fellas coming up after practice, so I figure if I'm going to burn through 6 pounds of ground beef, some bacon, and some brats, man, I might as well feed the neighborhood. So, you're welcome to come by if you want.
Where's this at? What's going on here?
Oh, Caleb has had this bright idea that he wants me to talk to some of the guys. So he's bringing them up and asked if I could cook. At least he picked something simple, burgers and brats. So I can do that. Of course, I'm going to chop up some bacon, and I got the cheese already shredded. I'm going to put it in the ground beef. They're going to get spoiled. So I figured I'm only doing this once during spring.
And you know what those guys would love on top of that is a sports reporter showing up to eat
Why
with
not?
them.
Why not?
Yeah.
They know we're boys. It's like you're the one guy. So there's a couple of guys that they don't mind because they were excited that I got my Twitter back because they think I'm pretty stupid. So one of the guys that they enjoy, when we do clips of is yourself. So I think you're safe. You could probably show up. Now, there's a couple guys they want to have some speaks with, but you're safe.
Well, I try to keep it lukewarm, and so I have those relationships intact, I guess. But I'll think about that offer, Damon. I probably will not show up today. I'll leave it for you guys, but that's very kind of you.
I'm even gonna find a way to wash my deck off just in case I have to spend time out there to collect my thoughts. So, I mean, we don't have to be inside. We can just sit outside.
All right.
It's totally
all right.
fine.
I'll toss it around in this brain for a bit and see if that's a good idea.
Now you can't ask the guys questions because some of the guys I think you'll want to, but I know that you understand. You have good self-awareness.
I've never done that. I've never done that to a guy outside of a setting where I've quizzed him on stuff with the team. I don't. It's not my game there.
Hey, before you take that first bite,
yeah.
How's that position group shaping up? You feel good?
BC, yeah. I'm being honest here. I've been joking with you these last 4 or 5 minutes. Are you taken aback about right? What's been the feedback after the one bad game, or is your sphere of influence on the message boards thinks they're trending?
I would say there's been growing concern that they just haven't played their best ball for a spell now, and they've worked through it all right. But last night was the first time where you felt like they didn't have that counter punch they've had every other time. They've been able to sometimes withstand a bad start or even a bad half, but last night was different. It was frustrating that the car could never get started. And I think I guess the worrisome part, I don't know exactly what it is because you don't want to try to get in guys' heads, but you're studying like what's going wrong here. And I hope some guys have the right amount of confidence they need in their games as they enter this pivotal postseason. Like Jamarcus and Rink are a couple guys where it's just felt a little bit off to me for a few weeks. Braden's a young guy. He's had some stops and starts. He was actually playing pretty well until last night. So that maybe comes with being a freshman, but I'm a little bit surprised with a couple of the seniors right now, and sort of it's felt like it's been 3 or 4 weeks where it just hasn't quite matched up to what you think you can maybe get out of it.
BC, as you're looking at a team that, as you said, you don't feel like has maybe played their best ball in a while, is this a thing? I feel like sometimes we are always waiting for positive momentum to stop, and we always believe that negative momentum is forever. Is there a part, like what part of you believes that this can be turned around, change the other direction, either starting with Iowa or the Big Ten tournament in time to make the type of run people think in March?
That was kind of poetic, Ravi, the way you said that. It was
pretty good.
Well, thank you.
It gets the classic awkward guy-to-guy stare.
Right, Nilo.
No, I guess to that question, I mean, the perfect scenario is in front of them that you get Iowa again, and you get a chance to go up against that on a senior day where, if they win that game, they'll have won 4 of their last 5, right? If they beat Iowa, they'll have won 4 of their last 5. It's just sort of the way it's gone, where you felt like they haven't played complete games lately. That has been disturbing. And then, of course, with the 20-point loss, that's going to add to it. But this is an opportunity to really, I sort of get that jolt kind of back in your step against a rival who you feel like you all won. The gym's going to be jumping. And, I mean, they've got to just go reset quick and look at it like, we're 25-5. Maybe they are locked in now to that 3 national seed, but so be it. I mean, that you would have taken that 1,000 times over before this season if you were told like Nebraska basketball is going to be 25-5 right now, about to host Iowa, and they could be a 3 national seed. And oh yeah, they're playing for potentially a 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament, which is still on the table. I think it's a sneaky important thing to get that triple bye. Like I want you get that feeling like, okay, you're not playing until Friday. You're coming off a win. If they win on Sunday, they're going to be, I think, at least a 3 seed, if it depends if Michigan State wins out, but probably a 2 seed. And you'll be walking kind of tall then. So there's a chance to really reverse what happened in LA on Tuesday night and just wash that out of your mouth. And so that's the way they got to look at it. Like the big picture, you're in a great spot at the best time of year in college basketball. Like, go get it now. Have it. But a couple guys who I mentioned, you want to see. I'd love them to have a feel good Sunday in their last game at PBA. Jamarcus and Ring. Yeah. But just play with that confidence and sort of that. There's been some timidness for whatever reason. There was stuff yesterday that was just so uncharacteristic.
I agree.
I heard you, Damon, was like, it was like Rink fed a pass to Jamarcus and he just like dropped the ball. And then there was in
the paint, right?
Yeah. I just was like, what's going on here? It was like the Monstars had taken the guys. Had taken the guy's game at certain points, and you could tell they were kind of confused by it. Like I saw the look at Jamarcus, like what happened there, And then obviously there was the play. We don't need to revisit every calamity, but they threw an inbounds pass off the backboard last night. That actually happened, and then they had the play where Kale, was going to leave it for Frager, and Frager had vacated the premises to elsewhere, and it led to a dunk. I mean, it was just stuff that this team has not done this year, all on display in one game. And so you got to kind of look at it like, okay, guys, that's not us. There's a body of work that shows that. Let's go be us on Sunday. And we're going to like where we're sitting going into next week, as I was saying, the best time of year.
The place should be electric. I know Nebraska fans will definitely respond. They hate Iowa. Nebraska has a chance to really position themselves with a couple of buys. You're coming off a poor performance. I mean, you want to finally get off to a quick start. Like, this might be tailor-made.
Yeah. On paper, it sets. I mean, or it could be the other way if you don't play well. But no. I like it. I'm with you, Damon. I like the setup. It's like this is what you would want. Like, you get another crack at Iowa, and you want the tough challenge. Not the toughest. This isn't the toughest challenge by any means, but a tough challenge as you go into the postseason. And this is a defense, and they were physical against Nebraska that stymied them, and they also held Nebraska to 52 points in Iowa City. And so they're sort of a hurdle to get over there. And that I think it's the perfect setup. I know Fred is not happy about the Big Ten, like they're ruling, like I guess today, like they have to fly back and they have to use one of their days available. They'll watch film and do stations, and they can't even practice tomorrow because of sort of a stupid Big Ten rule.
I don't even understand that with the travel. Like shouldn't common sense prevail?
Yes, it should. And he was adamant even before this game. It wasn't sour grapes by any means. That's a rule that needs to change, and he's completely right. So it's not the ideal setup, but I mean, they need to use this day, I think, today, just like, all right, everybody's going to shoot their arrows. They're going to say, maybe we're wrong about you guys, sort of stuff. Just kind of get in your bubble, go back to the lab. And this team has been good at responding to everything. This is just a different sort of thing we're going to see if they can respond to. We have not seen them yet where they've taken a licking quite like this and sort of had to answer back. And so that's where I think the curiosity comes in.
All right, B, let me transition. Spring ball, we're in the thick of it. It's like head down, walk fast, right? I mean,
yeah, it is.
Coaches are direct. It's like blowing by. What's your level of, because I know you're very guarded. So there's been times we've been burned. You get the pushback from the fan base about drinking Kool-Aid, and there's all sorts of new faces and new places, though. Where's your temperament in terms of, ooh, I just want to, or I have to see something?
I don't know that I have to see anything at this point. My temperament is that I like, on the surface, everything about how the spring is operating and how they're going about their business. You laid it out pretty good with that description. You guys are both being poetic today. I don't want to give all the credit to just Ravi, but it is just like walk fast, head down, do your work. Let's get after it together. And maybe there's the distraction. People are kind of more into right now. They're in the basketball journey and what's going to happen with March Madness. And so that's sort of out there and different from years past that we have that sort of dangling off to the side that we can pay attention to. I think it's good for the football program. It's just, when you hear like Corey Brown and Roy Manning, like get up there as new coaches, and they really came off to me as like, just like so technique driven and all like just in the toolbox. Like that's how this is going to be. That's what we're going to do. That's how those press conferences came off to me. You don't want to read too much off pressers. I understand that, but that's what we have to go off of. And I just like how every coach up there has kind of stepped into that. Like let's just put in the work and really get into the details of this stuff. And those little things are going to lead to big things. And that's been, I guess, the biggest takeaway is just sort of that mentality that seems to be kind of across the board.
BC, are you of the opinion, because it seems like it's a little bit split, that there is a legitimate quarterback battle that anybody could win? Or are you kind of like, hey, they brought Calandria in for a reason. He's probably going to be the guy?
I mean, it tilts toward Calandria is probably going to be the guy, but I do think like there's like if some guy, if one of the other guys were just lighting it up and he was clearly better, I don't think that they would hesitate to go that route. So I think the competition is legit in that sense. But if you said like, what would your shock level on a scale of 1 to 10 be if Anthony Calandria weren't the starter, sort of given the scenario and how these things usually go? Just it would probably be like a 9 out of 10 shock level for me. So I guess I'm in the the camp. No, I mean I do think like
that's
like
pretty high.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't you be stunned sort of if somebody beside him were the starting quarterback on opening day? I mean, if you really step back from it, I would, I guess. So I think the competition's legit and stuff, but I think he's got some game. That's part of why I answer that way, Robbie. I think he's like got like he was a Mountain West Player of the Year, and he's got a track record that looks good to me, and he has a lot of experience, and I think he's fit in well, which is a big key with the guys from everything we've gathered. And so that's why I would say that somewhat. It's not just based off, I don't think there's a competition. It's more so I think they got a good QB there.
So BC, you know what's funny about this whole discussion about the quarterbacks is
what have you got there?
Oh, I keep forgetting I'm on camera. Damn it. Fudge. It's just the Nerf gun. It's my attention span. I am so sorry, BC. I put this down. I apologize. Golly, man. I just am a little about that. Knock it off. BC, in my defense, this feels like we're back at home. This is our friendly confines.
Mm-hmm.
It's very chummy here at Hurrdat, so sometimes
I was not bothered by it in the least. I didn't think you had to put it down, but anyway.
Sorry, I didn't want to have to fire off a Nerf dart and Ravi appeared. But so so this is funny because I'm listening to you talk about the quarterbacks and kind of be surprised. I'm gonna tell you the cool thing about this. This is the feel that I get from just watching a couple of practices and stuff. I think it's a really unique mix. Danny Kaelin is super well liked. Mm-hmm. He never really got too far from the team. And, he would come back for Bible study and he would hang out with the groups and stuff. So there's that. He's played in some power conference games. The players respect him. TJ is an ultimate competitor. He's a team player. He's not going anywhere. He's gonna lift. He's gifted. He's not gonna lay down. Calandria comes in and he's got this bravado and this swag, and he's really confident, and he can move on to the next play quickly. So when you put all that together, I think the thing that we're missing is the team probably doesn't care near as much as we do. So if you want a good, healthy battle, that's about as good as I think you can draw it up. In my opinion, just looking at this thing from the outside in, like they just get to go play ball, and the team is going to rock with whoever. It's not always like that in quarterback battles.
No, you're absolutely right.
No, I'm just telling you.
So you don't feel like they're drawing lines, basically. There's not like a Calandria camp and
I think everybody. Nope.
They're rocking with everybody.
I think that's a sneaky good point, or not a good point because it's mine. It sounds stupid. I mean, that's a good place to be as a team during a battle where you want a guy to emerge.
Yes, absolutely, and I will go back to this. I was so struck by right after the Las Vegas Bowl, Henry Latofsky came out and did, kind of his final interview after his last game as a Husker. And he was pretty candid about stuff in that situation and unsolicited. He was asked about it, but he went in a manner where you could tell this was a really opinion that was straight down the line, that the guys in that locker room have the utmost respect, he said, for TJ Lateef. He couldn't make that more clear in the answer, and it was obvious that he meant it. And then, like, Holgerson slipped in that line like a week or so ago. I thought it was one of the most interesting things we've heard about how he was asked about retaining Isaiah Hunter and Ja'Cory Barney and just those guys coming back. And he mentioned that both of them said they felt good about the QB situation with TJ. Like if TJ were the guy, like they liked that, how that picture looked. And that was before the portal movement, before they got Calandry and Danny and all that stuff. And so that stuff really stands out to me. And so it really confirms, like, not that anyone would doubt your point on that, but I mean, that's what guys have said, the sort of stuff that makes that add up. Like there is a really good feeling about all those guys. And so it's very believable that there aren't lines drawn in the sand, as you say. And I know the clip that'll be used from me will be that they, 9 out of 10, Calandry a starter. That's just like, yeah, I'd be surprised if he weren't the guy on opening day because he was sort of the headliner acquisition from the portal in some ways. But I do think they're going to let that competition be real. And I think guys like TJ are going to look at it like, I'm the starter until they tell me I'm not. I was the starter at the end of the year, and it sounds like he has that kind of mindset, and that's great for the entire room.
Yeah, so can I go back to something I asked you a couple of weeks ago, and I want to know if your answers changed. I asked if it's a non-coordinator, who's the guy that you would like to sit down and get 45 minutes to an hour talking to on the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an old guy or is it a new guy? And then the why.
Well, I think I answered Addison Williams at the time just because I was really fascinated with the competition on the back end. That was really the beginning and end of why I gave that. I don't know, like that. It would just depend almost on the day I woke up with. Like, I think this is a team where there's like so many interesting position battles and sort of questions you have with inside it that there's like 5 or 6 guys I could give. And I guess I would settle maybe on today, Jeep Wade. No, well, I mean, Jeep,
he's blowing it up on the recruiting trail if you go by this weekend. So that might be a place to start.
That's part of it. Like, I think there's a lot of layers there. Like, just sort of like how he was able to come in December, and Rule, of course, told the story about like Paul Mubango when he like left, and then he goes on some SEC visits, and you're thinking like if there's a needle, it's going down, down, down. Nebraska's not going to get him, and Jeep Wade is sort of that guy who's like, no, we're getting him. We're going to find a way to get him, and just sort of that belief in like that could happen, and how he has built relationships. I mean, if you look at like the guys who are expected to come in this weekend on the offensive line, not that stars are everything, but he's got like 5 or 6 4-star guys like popping in. Lonnie Teasley deserves some credit here too. Don't get me wrong, but they have like 5 or 6 guys, that combination of Jeep and Lonnie that are top tier type recruits coming in. So he's doing it in that way. And now I think there's just this great curiosity about like, what did he see like when he first looked at this offensive line that first week of spring practice or during bowl practices? Like, what are the differences that have to happen there? How do you go about that? How are guys responding to it? It seems like it in a very good way, but that's why I would answer Jeep Wade.
So BC, speaking of assistant coaches here, and I guess kind of going back to wide receivers a little bit too, I found it really interesting when Dylan Raiola transferred that the retention rate of the receivers was 100%. How much of that do you think had to do with what you were talking about with TJ Lateef and how they felt about him? And how much of it do you think has to do with a guy we don't actually talk that much about in Da'Keel Shorts?
Yeah, you got to give Da'Keel a lot of credit for keeping guys. If you were to make a list, which I actually was going to do and I'm still going to do, I think, of like top guys that were important or retained or who are viewed that way, Ja'Cory and Isaiah would be right up there. But not only them, like to keep guys and I don't want to suggest that they were even thinking about leaving. That's where I kind of hate where conversations are in this modern day of college football. But guys like Cortez Mills and Quinn Clark and Jeremiah Jones, just that they're back and like they still see these veterans that are sort of in their way, right? But yet they're willing to come back to DeKeel Shorts and that offense and say, no, I'm going to get my fair shot here. I'm growing as a player. I like this. I don't think enough can be said. We always talk about retaining Isaiah and Ja'Cory, but the fact that none of those guys really below them left, I think says as much about it as anything. And then they get Quasi in here, who I think on paper is as good a pickup as they had in the portal. He deserves a whole lot of credit. Those guys blocked their butts off last year too. And now I know there's an emphasis like, hey, we want them to make more plays. And I think there's probably some excitement. They probably heard sort of the direction it was going with. This isn't to knock the previous guy, but one of the benefits if you have a quarterback who can extend plays is that gives receivers it gives them a few extra seconds to make stuff happen and all that. It's not just it didn't happen exactly. It was drawn up on the grease board, so the play's dead sort of thing. You realize there could be some freelancing and stuff that's really like kind of the fun part of football. So I think a lot of that works together, but you have to say that they must like their coach a lot and think they're growing under that teaching to stay around as all of them did.
I like how you brought up Jeremiah Jones. I put him in my development top 5 last week.
He's a big dude.
He is a big, cock-strong, easy-going, good-natured, competitive son of a gun, man. I think that's a good pull, BC.
Big dude.
Yeah. I mean, he was a nice recruiting win on signing day. That one went down to the wire. But yeah, Missouri was in on it near the end, and so Nebraska got him. And yeah, he's a really great athlete. He was kind of a no-nonsense guy with his recruitment, which I kind of appreciate. There wasn't a lot of fanfare to it. And so it doesn't surprise me you say that about his personality.
He was the one up at the Westside game, right?
Yeah.
He's enormous. BC.
Oh, yeah.
I stood next to him.
He came with Quinn
for a little
all those
bit.
Guys.
Like however big you think he is, he's bigger. He's enormous.
And he's even bigger now. He's just really good natured too. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit only because I work with her. But so Jess did a sit down with Coach Yelk, and I'm like, and I don't get like this normally, but I'm chomping at the bit because how she's got how she interviews and super engaging, disarming. And she had some comments after the sit down where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got like just how she described it, knowing her, and it's her baby, and I want it to be a nice drop, but kind of just her describing the interaction. And then what the guys say about Coach Yelk. So I'm kind of cheating, right? Because I have notes. I have some like preliminary notes, but I want to talk to Coach Yelk. He's flown under the radar. He came in basically overnight. Right, just kind of airlifted, and they just dropped him and parachuted in after being in the league, and it was super quiet, no huge announcement. And I'm watching what's going on in that back end. Like I'm all in on being curious with Coach Yelk.
Couldn't have been a better setup given that scenario. Like they had a coach, and this is happening elsewhere with the way just the calendar set up. Who gets taken away from you to the NFL that was only here like 10 days. But then to have someone like Yelk, and I haven't talked to him, so I'll be really interested to hear Jessica's interview with him. But with his experience with Coach Orich, and just I know there's a few years in between, but that's so beneficial, I think, for this defense. Like I don't think we can overstate how big a deal it is, even if there has been some time lapse between them working together with, like, you have Coach Yelk and Rob Orich together again. You have Corey Brown and Roy Manning who have experience with them. And the fact that you don't have a bunch of coaches who are looking at the DC like, trying to figure out what he's about or trying to play catch up right now. And so that's got to be a big thing. But I'll be really interested to hear that interview. And I thought, like, on paper, when they made that hire, you just nod your head. You're like, well, of course, that was a great, like, poll, like, a week before spring ball, basically, to get a guy in here like that who also has an experience with this coordinator like he does.
Yeah, and I just think, much like the insight in terms of the quarterback room and cheering for one another and kind of how guys haven't drawn the line in the sand on that battle, I think it's equally as important, but we don't think about it as, like, media and fans, but the ability to control a meeting room as a position coach flies so far under the radar, because with all these personalities and NIL and portal transfers and guys maybe not have been somewhere for very long to understand culture, the ability to control a meeting room is critical, and we never talk about it. So when you give me the characteristic traits of Corey Brown, who the minute he got to the podium was talking about hand placement, striking, knockback, pad level, the difference between, what's a gap and a half. Orich talking about teaching and setting edges and how kind of everybody's got their own leadership attributes when it comes to digesting this defense. And when you start talking like that, you just give a team that's searching a chance. I don't know if it's foolproof, but it's certainly part of best practices, right? Because we just undersell commanding the room. And I think that's a little bit of a shakeup for these young guys early on right now.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to hear, and good to hear. People like that about Coach Yelk being that way. It doesn't surprise me. He spent some time in the league and probably really benefited from that. And this should be a staff it's got a lot of hungry guys. I know sometimes people will get into, like, oh, they want this guy who's been at this power conference school for 2 decades or something like that. And I do see that there are benefits to that experience. Sometimes it can go both ways, though, where you can get these guys who are just like so hungry to teach and learn themselves from other coaches and learn as they're doing it, and how they can feed off each other. And as coaches, that can work pretty well sometimes when you got that hunger. And it seems like a staff that's sort of built up on the defensive side with guys that are sort of made that way, that are good teachers, but also, maybe don't think they know it all, and they're still growing as they do this, which is a great thing to be in any profession.
That's Brian Kristofferson, your favorite player's favorite sports writer, Husker 24/7.
Hey, can I get a bite of my burger first, BC? Then I got you. It's like, okay, guys, go ahead, you eat.
Sounds
BC,
good.
We appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, B.
Coming up next, we'll take a quick break, and then we will get to Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. That's DBM, Ravi, Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I think my shot was a little off tonight, but it was just trying to find other ways to impact the game, whether that's on defense, creating for my teammates, rebounds, that kind of stuff. So, it's not always going to be perfect, and I think just being able to, impact the game in a different way is just how I'll help the team. Yeah, a tremendous impact, it's hard to put into words, just every day, they show up every day, they work hard, they pour into their teammates, and they do all the little things. Those three, they're great, and we got to finish this season really great for them, and yeah, they mean a lot to this program and me too.
I mean, obviously we need to. We're still have an opportunity to miss that Wednesday play-in game. We're going to need a little help, but the help does us no good if we don't take care of our business. And obviously, Butler is physical, and they really beat us up on the offensive glass the first time we played. So we'll need a better effort there. Well, their point guard's out, so they've kind of shifted, and it's a bigger, more physical lineup. And they have a lot of different guys initiating offense. But Bidjak's playing at a high level. Obviously, IG is doing a great job on the glass and around the rim. And they rotate those two bigs in that do a good job. And then they've got guys that can shoot it next to those guys. So it's their last home game, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to get their best shot.
Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Doing well. Good morning to you guys. I'm glad everybody got to walk into my world with these late night basketball games. That was wonderful. I don't know if you guys enjoyed a 10-15 tip off, but it was amazing.
Listen, it's in my wheelhouse, Kevin. I'm
never sleeps
I'm
anyway,
not sleeping anyway. I like to be occupied, like stay busy. I got no qualms. Now, considering how that basketball team started, it's not just about me, clearly, because they looked a little sleepy, Kev.
That wasn't so good. But no, I love watching the WAC West Coast Conference, because you get home from work late and you're always looking for live sporting events to be on. And that was kind of fun to watch the team that's local play at that hour. The game was not fun. I mean, and it for me, guys, it was like a street ball game that you show up to. There's some guys playing at the park, and you walk up there and you want to join in, but about 2 minutes in, you're like, I want no part of this, because UCLA was all over them. They were so athletic, and they got after it, and Nebraska just seemed kind of sucker punched at the beginning and never really found their rhythm all game long.
Yeah, Kevin, as somebody who actually does try and sleep from time to time, unlike DB over here, I did hit the mid-afternoon nap to make sure I was prepped and ready to go for the late tip, and I gotta say, was not worth it.
I was going to say, it's probably a regrettable decision. You wanted that sleep back on the back end of the day, I would assume.
Yeah, I actually feel okay this morning, so I think I timed it out right. It was just the basketball experience that was regrettable.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of people that at halftime, they were done. I don't even know what time halftime hit. What, 11 o'clock, 11:15? I don't know that many people hung in there for the second half.
So we've seen Nebraska do this, though, Kevin, with kind of the slow starts. We saw it with Purdue, and then they mount a comeback. At what point do you really think no?
With this team, it's hard to say. I don't want to completely say they can't come back against a quad one opponent, and they can against quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. I don't want to oversimplify. That's why I'm kind of wishy-washy on how to answer this question, because they're never really out of it. And plus, I've really enjoyed these Fred Hoiberg halftime videos. I want to see it from yesterday, even though they're not going to put it out because the game ended in a 20-point loss. But I even said at one point in the first half, those dudes are going to get their butts chewed. I mean, it's going to be worse than any halftime speech they've had so far this year. They've just been able to go on those runs in the second half, and that's how they've been able to close the gap and, get over the hump in some of the road games in particular. But Nebraska's biggest scoring run against UCLA was 5-0. It did come in the second half, but that's not enough to make up the ground that they had already fallen behind on. I don't know. This upcoming Sunday is going to show a lot to us, because as of right now, Iowa is a quad 1 team, and can they get another quad 1 win? Not only does it have implications for Big Ten tournament seeding, but just an overall feeling about the team. Not to say that a win on Sunday at home against a team that they really want to beat, and there's a lot of things that go into that game, but it could undo some of the negative feelings that fans maybe have after the UCLA loss.
Yeah, Kevin, I think for me, where I lost confidence in the comeback was, I think Nebraska cut it to 10. It was 57-47. And then UCLA gets that little 5-point spurt in basically like one possession. I think that was where I was like, yeah, this probably isn't gonna turn around, especially the way Nebraska was shooting it. But I think more concerning for me, and DB and I talked about this earlier, is for a team that I don't love offensively in UCLA, didn't love how Nebraska defended either. And that's the thing that's been most portable for them. So to not have that locked in the way I wanted to, like if I'm taking a more negative view of what happened last night, not just being like, it was a 10 o'clock start, who cares, like whatever. If there's anything I'm actually going to be concerned about, it's probably the defense more than the shooting.
Fair point. I mean, that's good, because if you look at the numbers, and not that you should just look solely at the numbers, Nebraska got out-rebounded. Nebraska got outscored in the paint. Nebraska got out-hustled. Defensively, they had some tipped balls, Ravi, but it just wasn't consistent throughout the course of the game. There's even a stretch, I believe Nebraska was down 15 in the second half, midway through. There's a couple of deflections that led to runouts, but UCLA would come right down and score right after that. So it almost negated good defensive play, and then UCLA just – and the other thing about that, like Donovan Dent scored 4 points.
Yeah, that you'd think it wouldn't have been like that. Yeah.
He had 8 assists, but I was actually really impressed with UCLA and the way that they played. They played to their strengths, and they didn't get rattled by anything Nebraska did, and they jumped on them early. And, some of the things that, as you diagnose Nebraska from that game, it aligns with what Fred Hoiberg says all the time. Number one being, we've got to start fast. They didn't start fast. And we got to have active hands and tip balls. And they did, but not consistently over the course of the game. So Fred knows his team well enough that there are a couple of things that must occur for them to win or have the best chance to win, especially against a quad one opponent. I just think on some of the other contests, the Marylands, the Rutgers, the Minnesotas, they can sometimes overcome some of their deficiencies over the course of the game. Against better opponents, you just have to be better for 40 minutes.
So I asked you a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, are you closer to the relax or the trending in the wrong direction, kind of the angst? Nebraska fans, at least in my sphere of influence, as I'm kind of seeing this on the social ether and in the stream, are very not happy. I was surprised at kind of the negativity that surrounds kind of who these guys are given their standing. Have you changed your tenor at all?
I don't think so. I think I'm still in the relaxed crowd. I mean, what are they at? 25 wins right now. I mean, at some point you got to check yourself and be like, they're 25-5. They're a top 10 team right now. And there's still hay to be made on the back end. And it really comes down to what happens when the NCAA tournament begins. So, they haven't trended so far downward that I'm in that angst scenario that some of the fans are. I just think that there's a lot of feeling spoiled in the 20-0 start that it kind of distorted the view. At the end of it, there's 30 games that have been played. Nebraska's won 25 of them. Of the losses, they're all to quad one opponents. They also have quad one wins. So that tells me just to stay calm, and there's really no reason to flip out over what's happening with Nebraska basketball. I always just try to look ahead and what's next, and a huge opportunity on Sunday. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Iowa on a Sunday afternoon in the regular season finale.
Kevin, how much differently do you think Nebraska fans would feel right now if, let's say, Nebraska started 18-2 and was currently sitting at 25-5?
Ooh, great question. I wonder what the 2 losses are. Is there a non-con? Do they lose to Winthrop in there, or are the losses to Michigan State and pick another one of the good opponents that was early in the year? Let's just say Kansas State, because at the time we didn't know Kansas State was what they are now. I think that the 18-2 versus 20-0 conversation is unique because we just don't know what those losses are. If they were to really good teams, I don't know that the vibe's going to feel much different. If there was a stinker in there, I think you probably start to feel a little bit of panic, because that would indicate that, round of 64, you'd maybe have some worry and concern about what might happen in Nebraska tripping up when it comes to the big dance.
Let's say it's Illinois and Ohio State. Ohio State's a bubble team. They split the Illinois-Michigan State instead of sweeping Illinois, Michigan State. Let's say it's Ohio State and Illinois.
Okay, Illinois, I just throw out because I think they're really good. Ohio State's a bubble team, so I think now we're in that area of I don't feel so great because it's a bubble team, and a bubble team is going to be similar to a round one opponent. Everything just looks, for me, it just points towards the NCAA tournament. I've asked so many people, how would you feel if Nebraska won the Big Ten tournament but lost in the first round? And I think unanimously, people would rather win in the first round at all costs right now. They don't want to lose in the first because this is the opportunity, and you don't know when the next 25-win Nebraska basketball regular season team is going to come around. So you really want to cash in on what's been a historic season. So that's where, every question that you guys are going to probably pose here, or all the discussions you're going to have, I think in the back of everybody's minds is how does this scenario translate into March 17th or whatever the date is that they're going to play in the first round.
So let me transition here a little bit in a similar discussion though. So I'm looking at baseball. They're coming off the weekend. We know how the schedule was going to be set. We've kind of seen how it's played out in terms of the non-con. They get off the schneid last night with Katsky's kind of strong performance, steadying the ship momentarily. Are you more leery now to let things play out? Or are you looking at this it's early, but there are some signs that things need to go this way?
You guys know me. I'm pretty calm here. I'm not I'm not prisoner of the moment. So many fans in this they're prisoners of the moment. They just, it is up and down. It's EKG fandom, because things go good, everything's great. There's a bad loss, things go bad. And that's where, for me with the UCLA game, I'm not so down on Nebraska basketball. I saw that there's some elements of, their makeup that are concerning with the future. But I'm going to stay pretty calm. And in the sense of baseball, they played some pretty stinking good teams that we could see in Omaha at the end of the year. So that's where Cooper Katsky's a dude, man. He's good. Those 10 strikeouts. He was a conference pitcher of the year last year. He just recorded a career high with 10 strikeouts.
Competitive kid. Big, strong, competitive kid.
And I was also really impressed with Jayshon Unger at the end of the game. He comes in, and I know that they had things got wobbly there for Nebraska baseball in the home opener on Tuesday, but his stuff is electric. He had a little bit of issue with his control, but man, coming up with a few big plays in the eighth, strike out in the eighth, and then a pretty sweet defensive play there to end the game when Omaha had the tying run at the plate. It got a little bit dicey for Nebraska, but they found a way to win.
Yeah. Kevin, what's your state basketball schedule look like?
Oh, we're not sleeping, baby. We're going DB sleep schedule. We're just watching game after game after game. Excited that 8 Lincoln teams between boys and girls make the field. I thought that, Monday night delivered for Lincoln basketball. I was concerned because it's been such a good year for Lincoln boys. And if that thing looks one way, you could argue that it was kind of all for naught in this really special year. But the fact that Pius beats Wahoo, they're in the Class B field, that's pretty awesome. Lincoln High wins at Creighton Prep, and they're going to state for the first time since 2010. Lincoln High has never played inside Pinnacle Bank Arena, the boys. That's awesome. I mean, that's going to be really cool on Wednesday. Their last berth was in 2010, and it's a team that they've had some success, and then they would have a bad loss or two. So, again, to go back about 3 minutes when you're asking about, where do I land on the get worked up or stay relaxed, just stay relaxed. Lincoln High, stay relaxed. And, look, they're going to the state basketball tournament. So, and then, of course, you got Southwest. And, district championships, you're cutting down the nets, you're hoisting the trophy. They were just so – all right, when's our next game? They have their eyes on a pretty big prize, and this Lincoln Southwest team is pretty special with those Sanders boys. They're seniors. Go watch them. They combined for 54 the other night in the district final. Some pretty good talent in Lincoln, and it's pretty exciting that that's going to be showcased at the boys and girls state basketball tournament.
Yeah, it's I think you look up, and I have another question on the heels of this, but they had the kind of sneaky loss to Central. It was a buzzer beater. They lost to Bellevue West. They lost to Creighton Prep. and to West Side, right? Those are the 4 losses. They could make the case that they have the best 4 losses of anybody, but that's no moral victory. Are you more surprised that Lincoln High's in it, that North Star's not, or that Lincoln Southwest finds themselves in the position that they are?
Okay, ask the question again. Am I more surprised that Lincoln Southwest is in its position, that Lincoln High is in, or that North Star is
not?
I'm going to go process of elimination. I'm not surprised that North Star is not in it. Don't come after me, Gator fans. They had that game in the bag, but there's just some undisciplined elements with that team that they weren't able to seal the deal, and that doesn't totally shock me. They're super talented and so fun to watch, and they had a shot to win it too. So I'm going to rule that one out. So now it's between Southwest and the position they're in, or Lincoln High in it. I'm going to go Southwest in the position that they're in. We knew that they're going to be a good team. The fact that they've spent a few weeks ranked number 1 in the state, and if you were to pull a bunch of people and ask who they think is going to win Class A, which is as open as I can remember in a long time, I think the Lincoln Southwest is as much of that conversation as anybody. DB, you mentioned their 4 losses. Keep in mind, one of those losses, they played on a Monday, and it was right after the conference tournament, which they won. So they had tired legs. A good team came to Lincoln. It might have been West Side, and you could tell they were just fatigued, and they had put so much into the hack. So, I give them a pass on that loss. So their resume is as good as anybody's in the state.
That is Kevin Sjuts, 10-11 News in Lincoln. Kevin, appreciate the time as always. It was great to see you on camera this morning. We love it.
That's a couple times now. I'm kind of, don't spoil us now, Kevin. So I'm just saying.
We could start throwing out all the random, team youth apparel shirts, if we want to start to do this.
What are we rocking today?
I thought
we got prospects. We got the Nebraska Prospects hoodie on today.
There you go. I got a ton of their hats. You had them on yesterday.
I was wearing a Nebraska Prospects short sleeve hoodie yesterday.
Dude, their swag is incredible, and they do different color schemes. They have so many different logos. Whoever comes up with their merch, fantastic job. They've got some really neat stuff.
The Collective Legion coaches just rolled all their eyes at us, like, "Okay, you guys, knock it off."
If you can get me a bead on a corn cob hat, let me know. All right,
I have 3.
Oh, they're floating around everywhere. I mean,
I got a red, white, and blue one with the red cob and the blue husks. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they got the powder blues. They've got about everything in there. Hey, you know what? And we'll make sure we get some Legion merch on here and some high school baseball. And I've got, you know what? East Butler won a district championship. What was it? 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
I've got an East Butler t-shirt delivered by Sean Biltoff, their football coach. This is from many years ago. So East Butler has a big win. They're going to state in basketball. I don't care that it's an East Butler football shirt. That night, I'm wearing East Butler t-shirts, so I can start bringing that stuff to you guys on the show here.
I saw Brainerd East Butler clan at wrestling, man. It was giving me Makovica throwbacks, but I didn't dare broach the topic. I kept it moving.
That's good stuff.
All right, Kevin, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
Be well, boys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Coming up next, we've got Steve Merrick from Inside Nebraska. Talk a little more Husker hoops. That's DBM, Ravi, Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
We've always tried to be a group that in the spring, gives everyone, it goes 3 deep, because I think our job is to give players reps. So I don't know that it's necessarily changed that. They could come in tomorrow and say, "Hey, there's a new calendar." Things change so fast. So I don't necessarily think it changes that. I think even on the first team, I've always preferred to see, hey, send these 2 D tackles out first. The next period or the next practice, send these 2 D tackles out first. Let's get a bunch of pictures of a lot of guys, getting reps with both the 1s and the 2s, So we're, like I said, we're in an evaluation phase of both of trying to teach them their technique, teach them the X's and O's on their side of the ball. At the same time, also see what they can do and tailor things to them. Jasier Whittington, he does special things differently than maybe Riley Van Poppel does, right? So we want to play to their strengths, and we want to get a lot of guys reps. So I don't think it's necessarily changed. I think if anything, it's kind of reinforced kind of how we've always wanted to do it of getting three groups reps and giving every player reps every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what our mentality needs to be, is that we still have something to play for, and we are fighting hard to be in that NCAA tournament. Well, I think, when it boils down to it, most of those really close games that we just didn't get over the hump, came down to an offensive rebound given up here or there. Just rebounding has kind of been a little bit of a thorn in the side. And then, a day like today, it was our goal to keep them under 6 offensive rebounds. We held them to 4 and, out-rebounded them by 11. And that gives us a chance. If we will guard and rebound, it gives us a chance. And I think that's kind of got to be our mentality heading into postseason play.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by NextGen Male Medical. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Steve Merrick from inside Nebraska. Steve, how are we doing this morning?
Hey, guys, I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. We're not even stretching you, Steve, because we were like, college hoops, and Robbie wanted to talk Nebraska basketball. And in my head, I'm like, Robbie, this guy put together a safeties coaching list prospects a month ago before Yelk was even hired, and included him on the list of potential hires before anybody knew who he was.
So let's start with Yelk.
Listen, and I'm captivated by it too, Steve. So I'm going to put him on the back burner just for a second as we indulge in hoops. But we're taking advantage of your wide range in tutelage here this morning.
Yeah, sounds good.
No pressure.
Steve, we'll start with hoops because that's why we brought you on, but we do appreciate your range here. As you're looking at, I don't want to skip over last night, but I do want to, for the moment, I'm going to skip over last night. When people talk about this Nebraska basketball team and kind of what this season has left, do you think I know we talk about the double or triple bye in the Big Ten tournament. I haven't really heard anyone talk about what we want or expect Nebraska to actually do once they either do or don't get that triple bye. Does it seem like we're fast forwarding past the actual conference tournament a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, Ravi, and that's because I think everybody wants that. They want to get that, only power conference team to not win a conference NCAA tournament game get that monkey off your back, right? I mean, everybody really just wants to get to the NCAA tournament and win a game there and be the first and see the first team to do it at Nebraska. So I think that's kind of like that's kind of like the ultimate goal that the team set out to accomplish, is to win the first game in the dance in program history. So, when you look at it like that, I can see why some people kind of just gloss over the conference tournament and what that could maybe mean too. But yeah, I mean, I understand the triple bye talk. I think it would be extremely valuable for the team to do that and kind of have that extra time off and have that extra, those extra days of rest and everything. So yeah, I just think that everybody's looking at the dance and looking at potentially winning that first game in program history. I think that's kind of on everybody's mind right now.
Steve, this sounds way late in the game, especially for a team that has the conference record that they do and the overall record that they do. But do you allow yourself to think about where their confidence level is?
Yeah, well, after last night, definitely. I'm not surprised that they lost, but I am surprised that they lost by 20. And I am surprised about how the defense looked. I thought they were going to hold up better defensively. I wasn't expecting, like Trent Perry to lead UCLA in scoring. I was expecting others to do some more damage, but it was just an off night. It was such and I understand that UCLA is a completely different team at home, only losing one time there to Indiana in double overtime. But I was surprised by that outcome last night, and looking at it from the scope of like, how does that affecting the team? I think that there could be some questions, swirling around, but I don't think it's a sky is falling type thing. I just think we need to get back home. We need to dial in and focus on this Iowa game. And, a lot of people are going to be talking about the revenge factor, about how the first game in Iowa City went and all that. And that's great. But I just think that, it's something that could affect the team, because obviously you want to be playing your best basketball down the stretch, in March before the conference tournament. And that kind of like a 20-point loss at UCLA, that might raise some eyebrows around the program. But, I don't think it's a death blow at any means. So I think that there could be a little bit of a shot of confidence for sure. But Fred Hoiberg has a really good staff. I think that they're going to be just fine moving forward. And it just sets up an incredibly huge game on Sunday. The place is going to be packed. PBA is going to be juiced with everything that happened with the first matchup. So I think confidence wise, I think there could be a little something there. There's some important players that aren't playing their best basketball right now that I think if Nebraska does want to achieve its ultimate goal of winning an NCAA tournament game, those guys need to be playing their best, and they're not really doing that right now.
Steve, I want to stick on that for a second there. I think I have a pretty good idea of which players you're talking about, but if you had a magic pill that you could give one guy on the team and say, hey, you're going to return to the best level you've played at this year. So it's not some magic they turn into Michael Jordan or anything, just they return to whatever their top level was this year. Who gets the pill?
I want to say Jamarcus Lawrence, but I'm just going to go with the easy answer of Rink Mast, because what makes Rink so special, in my opinion, is not that he's just like a playmaker at your stretch five where he can just, facilitate the offense, whether he's at the elbow or whether he's out beyond the arc. But his three-point shot has not been there lately, and it needs to be there for him to be playing at his best. And I think if Rink Mast is providing offense from the arc, I think that really benefits the offense, because obviously his gravity impacts other opposing bigs, draws them out of the paint, and that opens those cutting lanes inside for everybody else. And I think that's extremely valuable. But if he's not really hitting those outside shots, opposing bigs are gonna catch on to it and maybe sink back into the paint and closer to the rim, and maybe take away some of those passing lanes that he's so good at finding. But I think that Rink Mast would probably be my answer. Jamarcus Lawrence hasn't really played as well as he probably can recently. He didn't really have a good game last night, but really nobody did. I mean, they didn't have it from the jump. I mean, it was just not their night. They were doing some really uncharacteristic things that aren't great for winning. To get out rebounded, outscored in the paint. They don't make their free throws at all. That was super disappointing too. They just need to get out of LA and get back home and focus up on the Hawkeyes, because that's a massive game on Sunday. But Rink Mass would probably be my answer.
All right, so it's interesting too, because the two guys that you guys talked about earlier with Lawrence and Mast, it's senior night or senior day or wherever the equinox will hit after daylight savings time. A little extra juice. We're boiling this down to Iowa and just winning. How important is it, in your opinion, if you were going to like sprinkle some magic dust and you say, hey guys, listen, just stay in the moment. Like, don't allow yourselves to be like, oh, it was just Iowa. Like, let's just take Iowa at home, right? Because this is what we'll do, right? This is notorious fandom. It's like, well, it was senior day. They got past Iowa, but that UCLA, like, how important would you caution us to stay where we are with this team?
Got to stay in the moment. Got to absolutely stay in the moment. You can't be looking in the rearview mirror. It's only got to be. I mean, that's what Fred's going to say too. Is just like, burn that game tape at UCLA and move forward and look forward with your eyes forward. So that's what he's going to say. And honestly, that's what you need to do. I mean, anytime something really bad like that happens, like that UCLA loss, I mean, the only thing to do is to just keep moving forward and focus on what's next. And what's next is Iowa and clinching that triple bye, because I think the team would really benefit from that triple bye, like I said earlier. So I think there's going to be some like thinking back to that UCLA game on Sunday, before tips, like, oh, how is that going to affect this team for this game against Iowa? I think there's going to be a little bit of that, just because, again, I was not expecting a 20-point loss, a blowout like that where nothing went right. I mean, they got it down to 10, of course, but once I think Perry hit a mid-range jumper, and then Bilodeau slipped that screen and knocked down a three. It was like the kill shot right there. So it was they were never winning that basketball game, it seemed. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that in the memory of Husker fans for sure. But as for the team, I'm not really concerned about how they're thinking that. I think they're going to be in line and focused on the goal of beating Iowa and securing that triple bye in the Big Ten tournament.
Steve, do you think we're overreacting to the margin at all just because of how it looked and felt? I mean, most people, when we talked about the LA trip, they're like, oh, if we can split it, that'd be great. Most people thought USC was more likely to be the win than UCLA, considering what the teams were and what UCLA has been at Poly. Like, if this ends up being a 12-point game over a 20-point game, are we having a totally different discussion? Like, how much of this is an overreaction to what the margin was?
Yeah, it might be an overreaction, but I just think that maybe a lot of people are expecting them to put up a bigger fight, a tougher fight out there. And especially defensively, like like everybody talks about the offense, but like Nebraska's defense has been so good this year. Their rotations have been so good, the way they fly around with their hair on fire. And I've just had a lot of fun watching them, but it just wasn't clicking last night for whatever reason. I'm just wondering like how that, if that's going to trail on to the rest of the games. So yeah, I just think that there's going to be a little bit of that there, and we'll have to see how they respond. It's all about responding right now and how you do it. But yeah, I just think there might be there's probably some overreaction for sure, just because of the 20-point loss. But I think that's just because everybody expected them to put up more of a fight than they did out there. But again, it's at the end of the day, it was the last game of that West Coast swing. It was a really good opponent, and it's one game. And they still have, 25 wins, 25 wins right now on the season. So they're still a really good basketball team, and they're going to be in the NCAA tournament and have all of their goals still in front of them. So there's going to be some overreaction, but maybe it's a little bit too early to think doom and gloom.
Steve, I want to hit rewind. About 3.5 weeks ago, a month ago, give you your flowers, right? men don't get their flowers typically until they die. It's just we just come to expect it. It's what men.
Yeah.
But I got you. I am here for your daisies and roses and
tulips. Big tulips guy.
No, tulips are more associated with death.
Oh, okay.
But Steve, like, you did a deep dive, right? You know, Steve, Coach Taylor was kind of like, I almost said Steve Miles, kind of like a thief in the night, right? Mentor gets hired, Ravens snatch him up. You go right to work in terms of guys that can be on Nebraska's radar. You went through the Orich connection, came up with a nice short list. One of your guys was nailed on the list. And Yelk, how much does he intrigue you, considering you did your homework so early? Basically, the next day, I think you did the deep dive.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of worked out that I landed on Yelk pretty early because, you know, Orich is like fairly he's a young coach and he doesn't have a huge coaching tree yet. He's obviously going places, but at this point in his career, his coaching tree and the assistants who have worked for him is not that vast. So I just went through some of his guys that he's worked with before, found Tyler Yelk, saw that he was with the Eagles, and like, oh, I bet he'd, you know, jump at the opportunity to come coach at Nebraska and coach safeties for his old buddy, Coach Orich. So I'm really excited and interested to see how he impacts the safety room, because the safety room is super intriguing to me this spring ball and going into fall camp later on. So it's going to be a super interesting year, but I would like to learn a lot more of him. Maybe next time Coach Rule or Coach Orich is up at the press conference podium, we can ask a little bit more about Tyler Yelk, because I'd love to learn more and understand, like, you know, what the safeties are responsible for in Coach Orich's defense and how similar it is going to be to last year and what they're wanting to accomplish in that safety room. Because, you know, with McDougal coming there, I think that's a really, really interesting ad and a really good ad, kind of like that player coach on the field, which I think is very important. And you kind of have those at all three levels of the defense with Coach Orich's system. So Tyler Yelk is really interesting to me, and you know how and what he's going to bring and what kind of his vibe is in the safety room. Because I think at times last year the safeties really kind of struggled in what they were asking, what the staff is asking them to do. But I think everybody kind of struggled last year at all three levels.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, he comes across as like a die-hard football guy too, but that wouldn't necessarily take a back seat to like Corey Brown. We heard him take the podium last week, and I mean,
Corey Brown was awesome.
He was team fun. Oh, he carries himself like that too, right? He's about business. So you've got, you know, Teasley, you've got Jeep Wade, the huge recruiting weekend with those two in a tandem, and the offensive linemen that they're getting in. How would you rank the sit down, right? If you were just gonna, you know, you're at Inside Nebraska and you're making sure everybody's got the best of what your homework gives. Who gets the first sit down when you want to fill us full of info, if you're kind of slotting those four coaches?
So go through the coaches again.
Teasley, Wade, Brown, Yelk.
Teasley, Wade, Brown, Yelk. Well, I'm going with Wade first, just because. No, I want to switch that. Sorry, guys. I want to go with Brown first.
Okay.
I just did a film breakdown of Jasir Whittington. Better than I thought.
He's
yeah. I mean, by the way, Pitt's defense full of dudes. Anyway, so Corey Brown.
That's why I was hyping up Kyle Lewis. I'm like, you take off of this defense to play at the next level, like they coach defense the right way at Pitt. They got
absolutely. Like I even wrote, like, if you're getting somebody from Pitt, you're getting somebody who's played for Pat Narduzzi, who's played for Randy Bates, who's since retired. But those guys can coach football, and I think they don't take like guys who aren't tough. So I think they absolutely know about toughness. And so for Nebraska to go out and get Whittington, I know everybody is concerned about the size and you know, can he be an impact interior defender in those A and B gaps, or a 3 technique as a 270 pounder. We can all figure out if he's up for the challenge in the fall, but it's very, 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 very good stuff. I was very impressed with Jasir Whittington's tape. But anyway, getting back to your question, Corey Brown, just because I'm interested about the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball, I think he's going to be incredibly important with how he teaches the technique and the system and Rob Orch's system. So Corey Brown would be my top sit down coach. But then Jeep Wade and the shift of what they're going to want to be doing on the offensive side of the ball and how they're going to be wanting to block, especially with potentially a dual threat quarterback who can really do some things, in the run game by adding an extra, gap that defenses need to defend and everything. And especially how that could maybe impact red zone offense too, and being more efficient in scoring touchdowns. So Jeep Wade is going to be really high on my list too. And then probably Tyler Yelk and then Lonnie Teasley. That'd be my order. So Brown, Wade, Yelk, Teasley.
So Steve, it's funny talking about Whittington and Pitt and that whole sort of defense over there is DB. I don't know if you remember this. I brought them up last year when we're having this conversation.
A smaller, undersized front
about defensive lines that are undersized that do a good job of stopping the run, specifically stopping the run because of all the consternation that was going on at Nebraska last year. So it is kind of ironic that they bring in a guy from Pitt that I would feel very confident in. But I also think it's interesting you chose Coach Brown in your discussion as well, because
I should have added Coach Manning, but it was getting chunky.
I do think Coach Manning is a good one too. I do think having someone different in that room could dramatically change the results, even though we largely have a lot of the same cast of characters. Fair or foul?
No, I think it could. I think just a fresh start for everybody with a new teacher. I think that could go a long ways. And especially like we know Roy Manning and his history with Coach Orich. He understands what Coach Orich wants and everything. And you're right. There's a lot of the same guys in there. They add the UCLA transfer, Anthony Jones,
who's really flying under the radar, by the way.
Yeah.
He's off to a really good start.
I'm interested to do kind of like a deep dive on him and see how he handled last season. I know he was battling, I think it was like a shoulder injury when he played Nebraska, so I'll keep that in mind. But Anthony Jones is for sure flying under the radar, and I'm really interested to see how he and Roy Manning kind of mesh together and what kind of comes out of that. But also, the guys that are more guys flying under the radar, maybe like Willis McGahee. That's a big one that I'm kind of really interested in, and how he kind of impacts the defense, maybe as a pass rusher in certain situations and a specialty pass rusher. So Roy Manning I'm super interested in as well, because I think he's a really good coach. He's been there, he's done that, he's played at Michigan, he's coached at Michigan, he's coached at all these really good power conference programs, and I'm really thinking that he's going to make an impact. I'm really curious about how the defense is going to perform, especially up front, and everywhere, obviously. But I think the new coaches that Coach Rule has infused into the program are going to do some good, because they just seem about the football, and they are really big on technique. And I think that's exactly what this program needed in a really important offseason entering Rule's year 4.
Oh man, you ought to bag and tag that. That's critical, right? Right where they are, critical year 4, getting back to the fundamentals. It sounds, counterintuitive, right? You think year 4, you should be past that. But what I think will get these guys over the hump is that. And Steve, and I the reason I always like talking to you, and certainly reading your stuff, is you like the football, the techie side of it. So you hear Coach Brown talk about a gap and a half, or true 4 down, or winning one-on-ones, or hand placement. Or Coach Manning and Coach Orich talking about winning in a pass rush in phase at the top of a move, right? Like not just taking any of that little stuff for granted. You got to think that a lot of these guys, they're in prime position, whether they win 9 games or 6 or 5, they're in prime position to be taught. Right? Isn't that kind of where even in year 4, you're allowing yourself to go with your thought process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I think of like what Williams Nwaneri can do, Cade Petchock, Jordan Ochoa. I keep forgetting about Jordan Ochoa. I'm always interested in Jordan Ochoa. Love me some Jordan Ochoa. But Cam Lenhart, all these dudes who are coming back. It's like they have new life. And it's like I have new life with them. And maybe I was ready to write off someone. It's like, oh, he's never going to pan out here. He's going to transfer out. But with these new coaches coming in, for whatever reason, just learning about them and hearing them talk and learning about what they're about, I think that it's going to be such a good thing for all these guys. They're going to get developed. I really feel like they will. Now, is that going to result in wins and a really strong defense in the fall? We'll find out. But I just think that there's a lot of good things happening in the program right now. And I think the program, Coach Rule, is handling it the right way this offseason with not being all out there, it doesn't seem like a lot of talk this year. It seems like a lot of like getting down to the football and just worrying about the football, putting your head down and just going and not making more about anything. I just think that the lack of talk, the lack of social media presence is really good for the program and what they're going to be trying to accomplish in 2026 with a challenging schedule. At least it looks challenging right now. It's going to be tough, but I think they have added the ingredients to the football team to make it better and make it, something to root for and follow along with great interests, which I will be doing.
Steve, it's funny. A lot of our conversations here have been about the defensive side of the ball and, there's a lot of coaching turnover, things like that. But are you surprised at all how little of the offseason seemingly has been used to discuss the offense, which had its problems last year, going to have had a ton of turnover in the quarterback room, had turnover on the offensive line in terms of not just players, but also coaches as well. Are you surprised at all we're not talking more about the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, maybe because, I think that when we close our eyes and we imagine like a starting lineup out there, like the starters, I think many people already kind of like have a really good idea of who's going to be out there. And now it's just kind of like a waiting game, right? Like, at quarterback, I think Anthony Calandria is the heavy favorite to be the starter. I understand that there should be a quarterback competition, and that's what the spring is for everybody to go out on the field, get reps at practice and get better. And then everything will pan out in the fall in fall camp. But I think Anthony Calandria is going to be your starting quarterback if everything goes to plan. And then with the offensive line, if you close your eyes and you got Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, Paul Mubanga at left guard, Justin Evans at center, Brandon Black, the Iowa State transfer, at right guard, and then Tree Babalade at right tackle. It looks like a pretty good offensive line. Obviously, there's going to be some things to work out. Chemistry is very important for offensive linemen. So they're all learning each other right now and getting to know each other. And there's a long way to go with that. But on paper, it looks pretty good. And then what I know the running back discussion has been a big talking point this offseason, and that's fine. But Mekhi Nelson had a really good bowl game. I like his potential. Isaiah Mosey can do a lot of different things. I like his potential. They're just young and they need game reps. And who knows what Jamal Rule can maybe offer in the fall if he continues to keep accelerating with his development under a really good developmental running back coach with EJ Barthel. So, and then the wide receiver room, there's really not much to complain about. There's a lot of guys in there that I really like. Quasi Gilmore was an excellent addition that kind of came out of the blue for me because I really wasn't expecting Nebraska to be in the receiver market in the portal. So there's just a lot of really set. I don't want to say set because like starters haven't been named, but I think you have a good idea of who's going to be out there. And I think that's why maybe everybody's just kind of like more focused on the defense because the defense maybe needed a little bit more work than the offense did. But that's just where I'm coming from. What about you guys?
Were you surprised? Well, hang on real quick. That's a good question. Glad you threw it back in my lap. Let me ask you something real quick though, because Coach Holgorsen, I felt like he took a little bit of heat. I felt like it was kind of unnecessary last week when he was talking about, or 2 weeks ago, the lack of a portal addition. Walked through Ives and short yardage and Mackay, and then said, if you got to if you get one, you have to lose one. And, he talked about roster limits. Were you surprised that he was so candid about, their expenses and kind of where they're at? Because I think it would be easy to have ring the false or the alarm bell, oh my gosh, we don't have any money. I think he was just being practical in his delivery. Is that giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt, or just was kind of telling it like it is, or did that kind of raise some eyebrows for you in terms of that delivery?
No, I think first of all, that's just who Dana is. That's how he always is. That's how he operates with the media. He just says it how it is, and if he believes in something, he's going to say it, whether it might raise some eyebrows outside of the program or not. But that's just who he is, in my opinion. And when he's talking about the roster numbers and how somebody would have to leave to add another one, I think that's the program, and that's just roster building and how it is in 2026. I mean, you can only do so much, right? And I think that's what Nebraska was maybe battling a little bit this offseason. But at the same time, you have to weigh, can you go and get somebody in the transfer portal who's going to maybe outperform or maybe just make your room better? And you have to just weigh, are you willing to spend those resources to do that, or are you confident in what you have right now and you coach them up and you roll with what you have? And I think Nebraska.
do you want to go pay $750K for another back?
I mean, that for a running back too, that's a position where there's a lot of wear and tear on guys. And, I think a lot of guys can be an effective running back in college football, in my personal opinion. And I think when you look at what Nebraska has in the running back room right now, I see a lot of potential. And I see a running back coach in Coach Barthel who has showed us that he can develop guys. And so when you put those two together, I really feel good about what they have in the running back room of, just continuing to get better throughout the season. How those guys are going to be performing against Ohio is not going to be how they're going to be performing later in the season in November. So I just think that there's going to be a continual development in those guys in the running back room. And I can understand why Nebraska chose to stand pat with what they had and roll with what they had. So that's just kind of where I see it. And I think that Nebraska was just maybe being good stewards or being okay with not branching out and, spending a lot of resources and just, sticking with what they have because they believe in what they have. And I think they really do. I don't think they're just saying it at press conferences.
Steve, great stuff there. That's Steve Merrick from Inside Nebraska.
It's a lot in there.
Steve, we appreciate the time as always. Let's talk again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
That is Steve Merrick from Inside Nebraska. A couple things.
He's all the way comfortable. He does a good job.
Yeah, a couple things I want to get back and catch on the other side here, but let's take a quick break. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I mean, I think my shot was a little off tonight, but it was just trying to find other ways to impact the game, whether that's on defense, creating for my teammates, rebounds, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's not always going to be perfect, and I think just being able to, impact the game in a different way is just how I'll help the team. Yeah, I mean, a tremendous impact, I mean, it's hard to put into words, just every day, they show up every day, they work hard, they pour into their teammates, and I mean, they do all the little things, those three, they're great, and we got to finish this season really great for them, and yeah, I mean, they mean a lot to this program and me too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we need to. We're still have an opportunity to miss that Wednesday play-in game. We're going to need a little help, but the help does us no good if we don't take care of our business. And obviously, Butler is physical, and they really beat us up on the offensive glass the first time we played. So we'll need a better effort there. Well, their point guard's out, so they've kind of shifted, and it's a bigger, more physical lineup. And they have a lot of different guys initiating offense, but Bidjak's playing at a high level. Obviously, IG is doing a great job on the glass and around the rim, and they rotate those two bigs in that do a good job, and then they've got guys that can shoot it next to those guys. So it's their last home game, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to get their best shot.
Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you, make sure you go check out our friends at NextGen Male Medical. I don't know if they can help you, focus a little bit. I know DB's been a little distracted by Nerf guns this morning, but that's okay. Get that mental acuity, get locked in. They got peptides, they got vitamins, whatever you need to be feeling your best. Give them a call, 402-614-9700. They have whatever you need.
It's their fault
100%.
I'm active.
It's true. You got too much energy. I need him to back down.
If I was like, old Manny, I would be like, what's the next topic?
Like Manny Ramirez?
Gotta keep watering the bamboo.
I know. That's still one of my favorite lines. Instead, I like to stand and stretch and be moving. And all of a sudden people are like, why is DB always standing? Or we need to move the camera or blah, 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 blah.
Might need to talk to Nick. Be like, hey, whatever he's on, like 10% less.
No,
just chill out
I think
a little bit.
Nick likes me just the way I am. And he's really happy with our commercials. So we like happy customers.
Good. We love the commercial.
I haven't seen it yet.
I saw like a cut. I haven't seen the final.
Yeah. Somebody said yesterday, was it my courthouse guy? He's like, hey, nice NextGen commercial. No, it was Heath.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Mr. Car Dealer.
There you go. Well, we've been making
like
commercials for them, too.
He's like, nice NextGen commercial.
That's right.
I wonder if he's jealous that I haven't been hooking them up with their commercials.
Well, he needs to get out there. And then.
Well, he didn't pick up my call the other day. My man was like, I'm on a meeting with Hurrdat. I was like, yeah, okay, baby.
So he talks like I do.
No, he's a big guy. He'd crush your brain. Is what he
is.
did.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Met him at PBC last year.
Yeah, he was that's cool people. I think I'm gonna swap out my drum, my gateway, and take his.
Yeah.
His is a little
You're a smoker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have the red one and it's been through the ringer. His is orange.
Okay, like our chairs.
So I'm a little skeptical, but it's a fresher coat of paint.
Mm.
He didn't pin his thermostat to 600 where he peeled the color off it like I did. That thing was like pinned at the bottom. I was like, oh, muffins.
Uh-oh.
I'm in trouble.
Whoa.
It's a good thing there's nothing in there. I just was trying to burn the lump coal off.
You're just out there like Carl
So
Lewis
I had the
running
vents
into
wide
trouble.
open. Yeah, not a good deal. I was like, oh God, why do I have that perfectly black ring at the bottom of my red drum?
Oh. Uh-oh. Whoa.
Yeah, so I need help moving it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a hassle. They're heavy.
Yeah.
It has wheels though.
That helps.
Yeah.
Where you might need to borrow somebody with a truck.
Yeah, because I don't. He has one. You can give me one of his.
Oh, Heath, get out here. Come on, man. What are we doing?
He'd be like, "Come on, bro."
Yeah, I thought Steve brought up some interesting points while we were talking to him there.
Yeah, you need to go check. You guys need to go get to Inside Nebraska and check out that Whittington breakdown.
I know that that Tim gets all the love from Inside Nebraska, but Steve's really good at what he does over there too. I'm
glad. I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're very open to allowing people to find their own voice, because I think with TV, and he was already talented, but like getting a chance to like play to his strengths, as a weekly guest when nobody else was really thinking about it, and I think Steve does a really good job. I just try to pick. I think for us, one of the things that we might be able to do differently is the more specific we get with, like, whether it's basketball, X's and O's, or football, like that's a thing. I used to be afraid of that. Right, I was really uncomfortable and was gun shy, and I'd listen to some negative feedbacks about it's too technical. So then I finally found a way to talk and make it kind of easy and fun, and the more I know that people want to learn stuff like that, I think that might be is it niche?
I think you can go
certainly not Nietzsche.
No, that's a philosopher.
Yeah, are you a philosopher?
I'm not, although BC thought I was.
I think very deeply.
I think, and especially with our format, and we've got a whiteboard coming, I think.
Where are we going to put it?
Well, so it's going to be on wheels, so we'll be able to bring it right back behind us here.
Oh, like the television show. Hell on Wheels?
I was thinking more.
Is it different than Coach Rule talking about being on wheels? Because he never lived that down, and I thought it was pretty petty.
Yeah, it's going to be more like when
maybe it makes people click on more things. I don't know.
When the teachers,
he's wild.
When the teachers wheel in the TV.
Yeah, did you have the art teachers that had like the paints and the squeeze bottles?
Oh, yeah,
and they would like wheel in their cart.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of like the art teacher cart, but we'll have a whiteboard. And I think with our format, it allows more leeway to be able, because here's the thing that I think is with X's and O's, right? I think people want to know. I think it's harder to learn on your own, right? Like it's hard to just go out.
They should be like you and just ask me lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of questions.
Were you getting annoyed about my run scheme questions?
No,
yesterday?
I'm fascinated by it because I want to be able to talk as peers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes, Ravi's asking me the difference between inside zone and duo.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very, very good question. So we went through the differences between inside zone and duo, and block and backside, and play side, and doubling at the point of attack, and how it fits with your next question, which I have to learn you, is does it go with what?
Counter.
Because
that's the thing we heard Coach Rule talking about, wanting to incorporate more counter into their run schemes. So my thought was, okay, does that mean they can build on what they already do and incorporate counter, or are they restarting doing something new? That's where my mind went, is are we installing something new or building on what was already there? And where this all started, ironically enough, was
just with Steve?
No, the line of questioning yesterday started with, I was trying to figure out where a good fit for Emmett Johnson would be in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. You asked me about the Rams.
So I was trying to find similar schemes, teams that ran duos, to be like, okay, that's an easy transition if they already run the thing he ran a lot of last year, right? And so, and this goes to what we talked about, I think a couple weeks ago, where it's, we were talking about zone versus man corners. We were talking about linemen and kind of what the one gap versus two gap, or the read and react versus like a 1.5 gap, and all these different things that were like, oh, this guy went to a new place and he struggled. Why was that? know.
According to Amazing Daniel, it's like we want to know. We just don't want to spend time on it. We want you to just do the work and show us. All right.
I mean, that's probably part of it.
No, and he's kind of being sarcastic, but not.
But also, I do think if you are from a place where, like I did, like obviously didn't play college football, like didn't play football at a high level at any point, it's hard to know even where to start, right? It's even for just to look for resources. Like sometimes it's hard to even know the right terminology to try and Google, right? So like when you sent me a couple of clips yesterday, I was able to then go down a rabbit hole on my own and be like,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Okay, now I know what terms I'm looking for because I know what I'm seeing to a certain degree, but I don't know what to call it or what other people would call it so that I can learn more, right?
Yeah, and it's just easy too because when we go into like critiquing guys or D-line play and we think we know, like I'm just telling you, a lot of times we don't.
Yeah.
It's just guys watching television and they'll say, oh, that's that guy's fault. So like the more you can do stuff like that, the more you can just have quality discussions.
Well, you can have quality discussions. You can have better opinions. That's honestly, I want to have better opinions. That's my end game, right? Like, is I want to have better opinions about what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. I like having the discussions, but you know me, I don't like being wrong. Right. And so the better opinions I can have, the more I can be right more often. Like if I'm being selfish, that's my end game, is to be right more often. But
Ravi,
in order to do that, you have to be more well-informed about what's going on. And, there were times last year even where there were guys that I had problems with on the second and third levels that I'd look at and I go, oh, that wasn't his fault. He was stuck in a spot where he couldn't make the read, right? Because either the defensive lineman didn't get his head in the right spot, or he didn't declare himself soon enough, or one of the linebackers didn't get to where he was supposed to be, or he got washed out. And so you end up with a safety in all this open space. And you're like, oh, well, Guthrie has to make the tackle. It's like, well, listen, for whatever problems I had with the way Guthrie played at times last year, there were times where he was put in unwinnable positions as well.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And so like both of those things can be true at the same time, where it's like, hey, maybe would have liked to see some different people that would commit a little sooner. Because I also think there is a part of it where I think certain guys, and I think it's more common at linebacker probably than safety, but they see through the mess a little bit cleaner than other guys.
That's a big deal. So I was talking with so why do you say that?
Because I think that's where my decisiveness things comes from. Because that was my big thing last year. I didn't think the guys on the second and third level were decisive enough. And I know it was messy in front of them, so it became difficult to decide correctly. But that's why I don't know if you remember the question I asked you and MRI back in the fall. Is it better to be right slow, or wrong fast? And you both unequivocally said wrong fast.
Right.
Because then the guy behind you at least knows what decision is next. And so that was a big part of my issue, is if you're in a run fit out of a safety position, or if you're an inside linebacker, being able to see through the mess and make a decision quickly, whether you're right or wrong, I think is helpful. So it's the guys that were indecisive to me that bothered me the most.
That's funny. All right. Because I'll share something with you. I'm not going to use names. Okay. So I'm having this conversation after Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm talking to somebody that let's just say they either teach it or know it. Okay. And I said, hey, do you like insert name?
Okay.
This particular individual said, he'll be okay. He's good, especially as a coach on the field. He'll make plays. I think he'll run and hit. Not as good at diagnosis and attacking yet, but I like him though. I think we also should invest in blank player. A little bigger. They're both good size, but we're talking about two guys. He said,
same position.
Okay. He said, I like blank more long-term, just needs experience. It's all about the reps and diagnosis so we can attack and play downhill.
You know what my next question is?
Which is
exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about. it's uncanny.
Do you know what my next question is when having that discussion? Because I think I know you're only talking about one position. I think with a lot of positions on the defense, that is the crux of the decision-making process in terms of who plays and who doesn't.
I understand.
So here's my follow-up question is, as a guy that coaches this, which one is easier to teach? Teach a guy how to diagnose or convince a guy to run and hit? Is it easier to teach eyes or action? That's basically the question.
So it depends on temperament. Some guys are just naturally want to run into things. Some guys won't until they understand.
Yeah.
This is a little too old. Leroy Etienne had an ability to run into things at a high rate of speed.
Okay.
Where was his diagnosis? Just okay.
Okay.
At other times, you have guys that are very good diagnosing, so they look like they like to run and hit.
Right.
Sometimes you have both. But
the guys that have both are like otherworldly.
But I got to tell you something though. So we can draw stuff up. It's like offensive coordinators. Every play they put on a dry erase board works.
100%. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't dry it up at all.
They take all the angles and they do the things. And so defensively, like sometimes you just have to make a play. When you talk about being gap and a half, and you see head down, and I know that I need to get down and squeeze. If I see run bounce across my face, I can do this. I still have to disengage and get rid of and still be able to make a play.
To go make a play.
Right? Because it may not be your job, but sometimes instincts kick in.
Yeah, have to take over.
So I think being instinctual is not anything you teach. Otherwise, it wouldn't be instinctual.
Right.
But you can diagnose. Like if you see pen, pull, or if something's going away, something's probably coming. Like you can do those kinds of things, but to be reactionary towards it real time, I think is something that comes with reps.
So I guess that was my real question is how much of, in your experience, how much of the run and hit guys is that their instinct versus how much of the guys that are really good at diagnosing is instinctual?
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Williams Winari.
Okay.
Very good at running into things.
Yeah.
Can get to where he's going in a hurry.
Needs the reps to diagnose.
Right. Once he understands, okay, why is this guy why is this tackle leaving me? Where is he going? My natural inclination would be to get vertical. No, what I need to do though is get in his hip.
This is, you know what this is? This is this is my free money versus why is that happening on lines.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's how you think though too, which is good. It's good for thought because it just helps you understand what you're saying. So when Corey Brown says there were so many little things he said, we may go back to his interview.
Okay.
Because he said he was saying little things like fundamentals and hey, pre-snap, when we look at like pressures or our fit, where are we vulnerable? What are they trying to do to us?
So identifying that ahead of time.
It helps immensely if you can teach it.
Because it filters.
Right.
Right. So you're not thinking about they could be doing.
If I see an H-back with a tight split or an H-back that's a little more offset, well, clearly he's got a tighter split because he wants to come back inside.
Sure.
If he's a little further removed, then I have to count him as a vertical pass threat because he has nothing
else he can do
impeding his progress.
Yeah.
Right. So the more you can do things like that pre-snap, then it allows you to just play faster with your fundamentals. Because it's not just enough to have good hands and knock back and squeeze, and because at some point you got to make plays too. Right? Anybody can do not anybody, because I don't want to be dismissive of being fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
But at some point, man, if you own B gap and you got you have a gap and a half, like sometimes you just got to be able to disengage and make a play.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's the next level, but it starts with why are we doing what we do?
Yeah.
You know, why am I setting this edge? Why do I need to turn that front shoulder?
And what does the offense want to do as a result?
And what's the difference of if I just string this thing along versus
what are the consequences
playing on their side of the ball
if I don't do it right?
Yeah. Like when you do that, you can play a lot faster. But I think the inkling to just want to run and hit is something you either like to do or it's not.
Kind of more instinctual.
Yeah.
So you'd rather take a guy, maybe this is too simplistic. You'd rather take a guy that likes to run and hit and try and teach him to diagnose versus a guy that really good at diagnosing but doesn't necessarily
like slow to shoot a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen the slow to shoot your shot.
Yeah. Who's the guy, and you don't have to tell me a slow to shoot your shot guy because I know that can be disparaging, but who's the guy that you look at and you go like elite level diagnosis?
Bullock.
Okay. From a couple years ago.
Bullock.
Who's the guy you
elite level, and he liked to run into things at a high rate of speed. So you look at year 1 Bullock versus year 2.
Yeah.
That's why I said when the year that he left, he would be the hardest guy in that defense to replace.
Yeah. Who's a guy that you look at in relatively recent history, you're like, that guy loves to run and hit things? Besides Bullock?
In recent years?
Yeah, just recent history.
Well, I mean...
a guy that we've seen play quite a bit. Maybe that isn't there anymore.
Okay.
I know that's been my whole thing with him the entire time.
Yeah, he likes to run and hit. That would be... Oh, you don't really like this, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll tell you a guy that likes to run and hit is Bowers.
Oh, it's not that I don't like Bowers.
Now the diagnosis thing is the next phase for him.
Okay.
Because then he can learn to play to his strengths.
Yeah.
Because it's not elite level of athleticism that's Genitone likes to run and hit.
Yes. And I would actually argue Genitone probably does have elite level athleticism.
Yeah, he's gifted.
Like he's kind of freaky.
So they have those guys.
Okay. Because
but you have to learn to play the position too.
Yes. So I think that's why sometimes it's hard.
Where are my threats? Why am I inserting here?
Yeah.
Am I the force? So those things matter.
That's why I think sometimes it's hard to identify guys that like to run and hit, especially if they're trying to learn something new, because they get it. It works against them if they don't feel like they know what they're doing.
You don't want to slow them down.
Yeah. But they're thinking. That's why I went. This goes back to the hiring cycle where I go, hey, if the answer to better defense is almost always simplify, why don't we just start there?
Yeah. Because sometimes I think that's a fair question, but I think sometimes coaches think you have to come to a point of security where or lack of insecurity where you can say we can just line up and play it.
Mm.
So, Orich, what he said early that I'm like hanging my hat on if it comes to fruition is, hey, we may be pretty simple pre-snap.
Yeah.
But we'll have the ability to be very multiple post.
Yeah.
Listen, alignment assignment technique, AAT. Where do I get aligned?
Get lined up.
What's
right?
my assignment and what's the technique I'm supposed to be playing with? If you get AAT down, I don't care if you're in a 3 down, a 4 down, a 5 down, just go play ball.
And when I say simplify, I think we hit on it a little bit earlier. It's not like, hey, you only do 1 or 2 things. Like that's not what I mean. What I mean is what you talked about like with Williams, Winery, where it's like, hey, at this point, there's probably you're sort of playing the percentages of what the offense is likely wanting to do, right? So you instead of asking Williams Winery to read 10 different things that the offense might do, you're like, hey, in this down and distance, the way we're lined up, they're probably doing 1 of 2 or 3 things. That to me is simplified.
Yeah.
You only have to figure out of those 2 or 3 things, which one are they trying to do? Instead of being like out of their entire playbook, they could do 100 different things. You have to figure out which one in 0.2 seconds.
Yep, 100%.
That to me is simplification, not, hey, we're going to run the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I think
and we go back and forth with that as a staff.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be talking to Coach Queen or something. We'll be talking about, how to defend 3 buys or 2 buys or, Nebraska got into, so I'll tell you one of Coach White's, he didn't have enough time in the next year to build on it, but they got fairly predictable.
Yep. In year 2?
In year 2.
Yep.
Of how they like to bring pressure, what they like to do. Now, they were really good at the simple stuff, but the next portion of that was to evolve because then they had another year on tape.
Yeah. Because teams got used to it.
Yeah.
They worked.
So they're going to say, hey, in 3rd and 7, when we see this overload pressure, this is what they like to do. This is simulated. They're not really coming. Or when they show this, they are coming. Because I would have people ask me, oh, why does it look like they always do the same blank? That's
as they kind of do.
That's kind of the drawback in terms of being able to build on it.
Good stuff there. That's DB.
Jibs. I would agree. Shavers likes to run and hit.
I would agree. I think that's probably
he belongs in that discussion.
That's probably
he can run into things at a high rate of speed.
Thing that he does best.
Now you get the diagnosis. Like ask Jay about Foreman about. He's got really interesting thoughts on Shavers. Where you talk about diagnosis.
Maybe we should have him on.
Yeah,
talk a little Vincent Shavers.
We can do that. I didn't talk to him in a couple of days, but we'll get him.
All right. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back tomorrow with more Hurrdat Sports Live. And I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about.
Plenty.
I'm just glad.
Decent day of hoops, man.
We've got some hoops. I'm sure there'll be more football.
We got free agency we need to talk about, too. And if Kyler Murray ends up being a Viking and not a Steeler.
I was going to say.
And he better not be a Brown.
Your boy finally.
Listen, I'll cheer for him. You know me. I'm a closet Vikings fan.
Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. Kyler Murray's free at last.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in March, not February, but I like it.
We can still be a Dr. King guy, right?
1967 was a long time ago.
Feels like that's the last time. Well, actually, it was longer than that. I don't know if you saw in Kyler Murray's thank you to Arizona. It's been longer than that since they won a championship. 77 years.
Go, Kyler.
Did you know when you leave a franchise or a program, you can write a thank you note? Wow. No matter how it ends? It's incredible.
Frozen, man. Let it go. Let it go.
We'll be back tomorrow on Hurrdat Sports Live.